Brianna's blown up your spot. Brianna Loria says, don't ask Prime if you voted for Kamala.
I didn't vote for Kamala. And
you didn't vote for Kamala?
I didn't vote for Kamala.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
My vote was not about who is better, a slightly lesser version of evil. Are you for genocide or against it? Have you cleared that bar?
Centrist left-wing candidates are in charge of the UK. The UK is going to recognize Palestinian statehood in September. Same thing with Canada, Mark Carney. You think that this wouldn't happen with America, that we wouldn't have had a materially, significantly, that lives would have been saved?
The candidate is not owed my vote. Can we agree on that?
I think I think the best candidate is ethically owed your vote. Yes, I do. We're not talking between 999 and 1,000. What we're talking about is orders of magnitude difference.
What kind of human being are you?
What kind of human being are you? No. You abandoned your country. You abandoned your country. You abandoned the Constitution. And you didn't vote. You didn't vote. What are you doing? And now the people of Gaza are dying on your name, on your name.
This is why you are morally compromised.
I am the person who is trying to protect our country from Trump. Hey, folks, please like, comment, and subscribe. And make sure to check out my newsletter. Information is in the description. The notion that we are going to be in a situation where we can just make this kind of dark money, these capitalist interests, a non-factor, it's a fanciful notion. And right now, look at the big picture. Our country is being taken over by authoritarian fascists. We have, rule of law hanging on by a thread. And in that context, for us to be playing these games with each other, basically purity testing each other, to the extent which we are not going to make common cause with capitalists who are anti-fascist, capitalists who want to stop Trump and who want to, that to me is such a wild notion that we wouldn't make common cause with such people. But you tell me your response.
So to be very clear, the people in chorus weren't making common cause, ones being paid, weren't making common cause. They were employees of that group. That's what they were doing, right? So let's not confuse that relationship. If you like you said, that group has the power to keep who they want in, filter who they want not to be in, and control people, especially if we're talking about small streamers who
I'm so sorry. I'm looking beyond chorus, right? Just the notion, because beyond, there's a philosophical underpinning to what you're saying, and the philosophical underpinning is, accepting this money is in a way accepting through some form the manipulations or influence of the capitalist land class, which is always going to prevent the real kind of reform that we need in this country. That seems to be the philosophical underpinning, and what I'm proposing to you is, we need to make common cause with the anti-fascist capitalists. And that might mean taking their money, and that might mean collaborating with them towards a common end, because we can't implement the kind of social change you want if we're all under a fascist dictatorship.
I agree.
Okay. Sorry.
I agree that power is what matters. And that you have to win elections, period, right? You can't implement your agenda without actually winning. Right, I had a disagreement with a group of individuals on the left, specifically about this, who were anti-electoralism, right? Who didn't believe in bothering with elections at all. In fact, they thought it was wasted energy to do so. I completely reject that. We got to win, right?
But you stayed home, man. You stayed home.
First of all, I didn't stay home.
Okay, on the presidential, you metaphorically said,
but not on presidential. We'll get to that. Okay. We'll get to that. President, trust me, I want the smoke. So we'll do that in a second. Okay. So it's about winning, right? But when we're talking about unifying here, right? It's unifying in the direction of capital. That's how it always goes here. So we're going to unify in the direction of billionaires, unify in the direction of individuals who have a certain policy agenda. And guys, we have to. There's an emergency, right? And so let's put away our differences, right? And the only way to do that, only way to put away your differences, is to align with their message, right? Because that's where the money is, right? That's the infrastructure that we need. There's a power imbalance here. And so it always shifts to the ones in power. It always shifts to the, corporate Democrats who are already in control of the DNC. When they're talking about unifying, they mean getting behind their party line. There's just no time. Medicare for all, at one point, we'll get to it in the future, immigration, right? We'll get to it in the future, right? Obama said. And it never happens. And so at some point, we actually have to work out these differences. At some point, we have to think about what kind of party we want to be. Because those billionaires, they actually already have an idea. They have a clear idea as to what they want to be, right? They want to be Republican. And so I reject this idea of like, in the face of this emergency, I think that this emergency was caused by like that wing of the party, right? The corporate wing of the party. They caused it. They brought us here, and they are the first ones to acquiesce, as liberals always have. Liberals have always acquiesced to fascism all throughout history. They are the handmaidens of fascism, right? They'll make excuses for fascism the entire time. They'll push policies that actually don't address issues of the people, which brings up resentment in the government, right? And then people make an alternative, right? An alternative choice for Germany. Or alternative for Spain or for the United States. They'll decide, hey, this isn't working anymore. Because I look at the parties in power, and none of them actually address my concerns. I think that the left actually has the answer, right? Well, I'm actionable.
I just think that you're not acknowledging some tangible wins that the American left has had in the past 30 years. And also I think that I don't necessarily agree with your history there, especially when the Communist Party legit had a doctrine here to push against as hard as possible. The Comintern did liberal policies as liberal fascists, and that's why there was, at least in the German context, collaboration. At least in the early days, between communists and Nazis against the SPD. But anyway, just putting that in the history aside.
Well, they present themselves as National Socialists.
But in general, I mean, they were as opposed to the Social Democrats, if not more so than the Nazis. I understand that they also fought against each other, and the communists were the first people targeted by under the new Nazi government. I'm not denying that, but I'm saying that I don't think it's so clear that the liberals were the first to.
I'll say this. I am making an oversimplification of history, obviously, right? I'm not I haven't given you a whole full spectrum of what history looks like, but I still stand by the statement that liberals.
I'll just say in the Spanish Civil War context, there was America was selling arms to Franco. So there has been collaborations between liberal governments and fascist governments that's happened in the past, but there's also been collaboration between communist governments and fascist governments. That was true between Russia and Soviet Union and Nazi Germany. That was true arguably between USSR and Japan. And so I just think it's a little bit simplistic here. But I'm not saying that you were making a totalizing historical argument. But at least in this context, I think that the left has seen some tangible wins in the Democratic Party. I mean, just look at where Joe Biden was moved domestically by Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. Those were tangible moves that, Biden, you can say whatever you want, was the most domestically left-wing president that we have seen in our lifetime. Easy, bar none, no question about it. No question about it.
And drawn, kicking and screaming to those positions. Absolutely. Yeah, I agree that the best part of the Biden presidency are the ones birthed by Sanders and Warren. 100%, right? Not the FTC. Well, the FTC, yes. FTC, yes, but also
Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the National Labor Relations Bureau. Yeah, there's a ton of great stuff here. But all I want to say is those are tangible wins that the left, to say nothing of, I think, the Inflation Reduction Act and some of the other the policies here, where they made an agenda item. The left has made the environmental protection an agenda item, have made protections on abuse by banks and financial institutions an agenda item. They have made labor and protection of unions an agenda item. They have made domestic production and fair trade, an agenda item.
But this doesn't go against my argument, right? So I can acknowledge that the leftists, we'll just call them leftists. We'll put Warren and Sanders in that category for simplicity's sake, right? Leftists have had an impact on the Democratic Party. They've done the best things, right? They push for the best parts of the DNC agenda. But that doesn't change what I was saying, is that like the corporate wing has the party, right? Fights against the left at every point in time, undermines them at every opportunity. As we're seeing with Zoran Mondani right now, right this second, we're seeing that, where the DNC leadership doesn't want to even acknowledge that he exists, right? Or when they do, they want to insult him, right?
I think particular politicians. I think the Democratic Party congratulated him right away. At least the Twitter account, the Democratic official Twitter account. Jerry Nadler endorsed Mamdani. I want to say I endorsed Mamdani early on, or at least before the mayor election happened. And so I don't think that it's been. I've been critical. Yeah, I've been critical of Jeffries. I've been critical of Schumer and people who have not endorsed. I've been critical of people like Josh Shapiro, who's kind of had these like weird little comments at him and other people as well. So I agree with you. They should endorse Mamdani. And I've been, by the way, criticized by other members of my liberal circle for saying that and for calling it out. And so I'm not saying that you are wrong in the sense that there are many people within the Democratic Party who are uncomfortable with Mamdani, but I think that's, people say the same thing. Like, look at the left; they're just trying to undermine our candidates. All they do is talk shit. I mean, I've heard this ad nauseum: is why would we care about the left? They really want to shit on our candidate. All they do is talk shit about our candidate. They don't acknowledge the difference between the Democratic candidate and the Republican candidate. And you're case in proof, aren't you? Because you didn't vote for Harris.
Yeah,
you didn't endorse Harris, and so why should? I mean, I get to say endorse Mamdani. Why do you get to say that?
You get to say endorse Mamdani because you're a team player. Yeah, so I get to say that I'll endorse Mamdani or anyone else, right? When they meet minimum standards. They have to meet minimum standards. There is a threshold for me, right? That a candidate must clear. And my standard, which I thought was extremely low, right, and extremely manageable, was to condemn a genocide. Was to take a hard, clear stance against the genocide. Joe Biden, disastrous president. Disastrous president because he's ripped this party apart. Because he decided, being the ultra-Zionist that he was, that Israel's glory, Israel's revenge, was worth more than anything else. And so he let a genocide fester in his term, right? Only with the assumption that I guess he would figure something out in his next term, only to lose miserably, right? And also lying to the American public about his health. He was a disaster. He put us in this situation without a doubt. When Harris came in, right? I've had a whole history of Harris. I saw Harris when she was running for Senate, right? And I was excited for her because I thought she was an interesting candidate. And from all the things I had heard while she was in the Senate was amazing, I thought, right? Like when we got clips of her, she was like doing her prosecutor thing. She had people, who have been summoned to Congress, and she was like tearing them apart. I'm like, this woman has something, right? I could not have been more wrong. Because then she ran for president, right? Very excited for her candidacy. She was a disaster. She started off strong, but all she had was like prepared lines that hit really well. And then she immediately backed away from any gains that she had, right? She said, hey, there was within the debate, they asked, hey, who here is for Medicare for all? She raises her hand. I raises her hand. Later on, when asked about it, she's like, oh, did they say Medicare for all? Oh, I must have misheard. No, I'm not for Medicare for all. She was in there. She did it for the immediate gain from the debate, right? From being watched by all those people. Then later on, she can make a tiny correction. Oh, that's not actually where I stand. Even her biggest line against Joe Biden with the school busing line, right? You remember what I'm talking about, right? Like I was that little girl, right? Later on, she was asked, "Oh, would you have ended school busing too?" Well, yes, of course I would have. Yeah, I would have made the same choice, right? The same choice that I excoriated Joe Biden on. Remember when she did that line? She immediately, like minutes after the debate, had shirts ready, like shirts branding around this "I was that girl" line. She did it for the audience. But then afterwards, she immediately retreated because she actually stands for nothing. And anyway, she was the first one to drop out. She goes into the vice presidency, does nothing, right? Less than nothing, because actually Biden gives her all the shit assignments, right? She has to go to South America and tell Latin Americans, don't come, right? I'm sure you remember that moment as well. And then, Biden goes back on his clear message, his clear pre-election message that he was going to be a one-term president, right? He goes back, he lies about that, and tries to run again. It's a complete disaster. It's Kamala Harris's turn after he fumbles the ball. It also noted she only had 107 fucking days to do it, but I was excited about her. I'm like, okay, she had like 4 years. She had 4 years. I'm sure she must have been thinking hard about why she did so bad. I'm sure she must have done something. I'm really excited. I wasn't going to vote for Biden because he's a pro-genocide war criminal, deserves to be in jail. But for Harris, I thought, well, I heard some positive noises in this direction. I'm willing to give her a chance. And then she made it extremely clear that the anti-genocide crowd was not welcome in her coalition. Extremely. I can give you advantages, but I've been talking a lot already. Sorry, examples.
I want to say a couple things. So first off is I don't know why this is useful for you to go through the whole chronology here. Some of these are mistakes that I acknowledge, specifically Biden running again. I think that was a big mistake. And so, there's some things that you say that perhaps I agree with, but some I certainly don't. I think that Biden has been the best president of our lifetime. I don't think you can point to a presidency that was better in terms of domestic policy, for sure.
He's destroyed the Democratic Party. He's laid it to waste now.
Oh, listen, so. I agree that his decision not, to run again was disastrous, but I'm just saying in terms of domestic policy, in terms of domestic accomplishments.
I'm talking about in terms of the genocide. Sorry, I'm talking about in terms of the genocide that's happening right now.
I think it's cold comfort right now to the Palestinians right now. Do you think that they'd be better off with Kamala Harris in charge? No doubt they would.
It's not It's not about. So my vote was not about who is better, a slightly lesser version of evil. It's, hey, are you for genocide or against it? Have you cleared that bar? I will not vote for a person who is pro-genocide.
Centrist left-wing candidates are in charge of the UK. The UK is going to recognize Palestinian statehood in September. Centrist Democrat in charge of France.
Yeah.
Let me keep going. Okay. They're going to recognize Palestine as a state in September. Centrist Democrat in charge of Australia. They're going to recognize Palestine as well. Same thing with Canada, Mark Carney. You think that this wouldn't happen with America, that we wouldn't have had a materially, significantly, that lives would have been saved?
Your example of centrist leadership is that a bunch of leaders, right, won't give any material support. Instead, they'll make a resolution that'll make Palestine recognize Palestine as a state. Whether it actually will or will be, and you're on this different matter or not, but they'll recognize it as a state.
That's been one of the major goals of the pro-Palestinian movement.
Yes, but right now that doesn't stop the genocide. The first things that they will the first roadblocks that they will clear will always be the rhetorical ones. Right? The ones
what I'm suggesting to you is if you have someone who's more aligned, like if you had Keir Starmer in America, our position on Gaza would be fundamentally different than Trump, who's deporting people because of their criticizing Israel.
Would there still be no harm? I understand how you don't have to explain to me that Trump is a menace. I talk about how Trump is a menace all the goddamn time, right? I'm saying that I have standards. My standards weren't clear, right? It is not my fault that the candidate didn't clear those standards. The candidate is not owed my vote. Can we agree on that?
I don't know what you mean by that. I think I think the best candidate is ethically owed your vote. Yes, I do.
Oh, I've absolutely okay. Then that's a fundamental disagreement. Okay, that's important. That's a fundamental disagreement. No candidate is on is owed.
What do you mean by
votes,
owed?
Right? They have to earn that vote.
What do you mean by owed?
Well, I mean the opposite of this, right? The opposite of earning a vote. I mean that.
I don't understand what you mean by owed.
I will explain it to you. That's fine.
Because people will often say this. I'll have this conversation with Ryan Mullally where he's like, Kamala Harris is probably the better person, but she didn't earn my vote, or I'm not owed the vote. And like I just don't understand those terms. Sure. Like, if what we mean by owed is like some kind of legal obligation. No. Okay, go for it.
Explain it. Okay, great. Thank you. I love you.
You said I was going to parse out every word. I do that.
Exactly. I know. I got to come prepared, right? So anyway, as opposed to a candidate who earns your vote, who has a policy agenda that is based on like a viable coalition for their party, right? And who intends to follow through, at least convinces you that they'll follow through. I guess that's before the election. But who makes a convincing case that they will go through with a viable policy agenda. So that's a person who earns it, right? That's what campaigning should be, as opposed to saying that this individual, because there is some sort of greater threat, right? Because there is some sort of violence that will be put upon you. Otherwise, you need their vote. In fact, you should be guilt shamed for not voting for this individual because something bad has happened. Now it's your fault, rather than saying it's the candidate's fault. The candidate didn't actually didn't do their job, didn't understand where the coalition was, the viable coalition, and didn't appeal to that. And so they lost. Kamala Harris did a bad job. Kamala Harris lost all the swing states. Kamala Harris lost the popular vote, right? / Joe Biden lost the popular vote. And it's because of their policies of that, right? It is not incumbent upon the voters, right, to give them their votes in the hopes that, I guess, maybe they didn't mean it, right? If she's saying that, well, yes, she is going to continue the genocide, then it's not incumbent upon me to hope and pray for something better. No, you have to make that hard stance against it, right? And if you can't, in fact, I wasn't, sorry, to be clear, like my rhetoric during the election was actually even much more forgiving than this, right? I'm like, okay, well, I can't expect her to be like a full pro Palestine like I am, right? That wasn't my expectation, to be very clear, right? It was simply to say, hey, maybe we won't pay for weapons, right? No more weapon shipments, right? Even no more quote unquote offensive weapon shipments. Would have been a massive upgrade from what Biden put forward. Nothing from her.
Yeah.
So, and again, she made it very clear that we weren't welcoming her coalition.
I'm sorry to do this. It's going to be real.
Here we go.
I'm really sorry to do this. I just don't understand what you meant by owed. I still don't understand what you mean by owe. Like you say, you're trying to distinguish between who's preferable to vote for versus do they owe their vote. And I'm just like, so
sorry, what do you mean by owed?
Yeah, so I understand. So when I said you do owe her your vote, when I say owe, is like you have an ethical obligation to vote for her. Well, now you might mean something different when you say owe. Maybe you mean a legal obligation. Maybe you mean something else. But like I understand owing in this context to be like I have an ethical obligation that I ought vote for Kamala Harris. But I don't understand owe as something different than that. What do you mean by owe?
We can use that. We can use that definition. Okay. I don't think we have an ethical obligation to vote for any particular candidate. That candidate should make their case to the people and get them to
you don't think that
sign up.
Well, you don't think that you would never have an ethical obligation to vote for a candidate?
No. Why would no. You don't have an ethical obligation.
Well, maybe if the outcomes like so,
I think you should.
So if the vote were between like Bernie Sanders and fucking Mussolini, you wouldn't have an ethical obligation to vote for Bernie Sanders?
I think you have I think as part of your civic duty, you should.
Well, what do you mean by should? I understand should to be an ethical obligation. I don't understand should as something other than like.
Okay.
Right? Isn't right. Should like so isn't saying that you should do something saying you have an ethical obligation to do it?
No, I'm sorry, but hold on. Let's synchronize our terms here, because when I hear ethical obligation, I think you must, right? You like this is as close to a mandate as you get, right? Without actually having the power of the law
you
behind
ought do it.
Ethical.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah.
Do you understand? Like, so it's.
So sorry, go ahead.
So when I say something should happen, or it's an ethical obligation for someone to do something, I mean that they ought do it, that it ought be done. That's what I mean. Understand? So when I say, you owe her your vote, what I mean to say is you have an ethical obligation to vote for her, meaning you ought vote for her, implying that she ought win. And I think if you grant that she ought win and that you ought vote for her, then
you're not
you
saying
owe her your vote.
Must. Okay, but I'm making a distinction between must and should. So you're not saying you must vote for her. You're saying you should vote for her.
I'm saying, if by must, I think that if you don't, you're doing something unethical, in which case, to be ethical, you must vote for her.
To be ethical,
unless you're like, I mean, the one exception would be like if you are a doctor and you're on emergency call that day and there's other things, but all else equal, you must vote for her.
For it to be ethical, she must clear an ethical standard. She didn't clear the ethical standard.
Well, regardless of what she clears, I'm saying you have the ethical obligation apart from her.
Let's do it this way. Let's try it another way, right? Okay, got candidate, Republican candidate and Democratic candidate, right? Republican candidate says promises they're going to publicly sexually assault 1,000 children, right? The Democratic candidate, they're going to publicly sexually assault 999 children, right? One is better than the other, right? Which one are you ethically obligated to vote for?
If you have two options, and if you only have two options, you are ethically obligated to do the less child rape. Don't you agree?
You're going to vote.
Wait. So sorry. If you agree that there's only two options, and one involves the rape of 1,000, and one involves the rape of 999.
There's not only two options. There's not only two options.
Okay. So then, but in the case where there's only two options, would you agree that
there's not only two options?
In the case, but if there were only two options,
but there's not only two options.
I understand, but would you grant that if there were only two options, that it would be better? It would be more.
I don't grant that there. No, because that disguises like the point of this conversation.
It's hypothetical, but
saying,
if it were, I'm just it's conditional. You're saying like, but I did have breakfast,
but it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. But the hypothetical, your hypothetical doesn't make sense. No, think about this.
What do you mean it doesn't make sense?
Well, the other option is to not vote.
No,
right. There is a third option.
So we'll get there. We'll definitely get there. But
we won't get there.
You won't even agree.
We won't get there.
You won't even agree
because it's not because your hypothetical isn't useful to it doesn't map on to our reality. Right, it doesn't map on to.
I think it does.
Like how we vote.
Right? I think it does. So but why don't we just agree on the base thing first? Why don't we agree on the base thing first?
We won't agree on that. Hold on, 36% of voters, so 36% of eligible voters don't vote. Right, I have that wrong. Right,
I'm not sure.
There isn't a third of eligible voters who don't vote in our election. Is that not a thing?
I think they do. There's a sizable contingent of people who don't vote. Yes.
There's a sizable. Okay. Oh, so it sounds like there's another option there. Correct? Sounds like another option.
Yeah, no, but I can explain. But why don't we just do the 2 and then we can move on to the 3 and the 4?
No.
Why don't you want to get clarity on it?
No, because the whole point is within a democracy. So like, I might have this wrong.
Yeah.
And I might have my facts wrong. So if I do, I apologize, right? But like within Australia, right, has mandatory quote unquote mandatory voting. They're pretty loose with that. But for mandatory voting, you can pay to not vote, but still, let's assume that everyone does vote, right?
Okay.
I think there's like a no vote answer or like a write-in answer where you can put anything you want, which is effectively a no vote. Even in that option, there's in that system, there's another option. There isn't one like option A or option. You aren't forced to vote for one or the other.
We can't even agree on if there were two. We can't even agree that
because it's not useful. That's not a useful thing. But why don't we skip past like the
why not just grant it and we can just move?
No, I grant nothing. I grant you nothing.
Why not?
Nothing, sir.
Why not?
I grant you nothing, sir.
Wait, so
because you haven't. Because you haven't earned it. You aren't owed.
I don't know what you
aren't owed my acquiescence.
I'm not trying to like bully you. I'm just.
You're not bullying. I'm bullying you. What are you talking about?
No, I'm not. Okay, I'm not trying to like trap you. I just think that like it should be easy. Of course.
Because it obfuscates like what the metaphor is trying to elucidate. It obfuscates that when you boil it to two, because it says that you only have two options, right? And it's a binary choice. That's what the Democratic Party wants you to believe. That's a binary choice. That's one. It's chicken or fish, like Obama said. That's what you have. You have chicken or fish, right? Or you can have people who stay home, like they stayed home for Hillary, right? Like they stayed home for.
Okay, so let me get around these questions, and I'll give you the affirmative response,
how Joe Biden would have lost the 2020 election if not for COVID. If not for COVID, he would have in the economic downturn that resulted in it. If that didn't happen, Trump would have won that election. Absolutely.
I'm not so sure about that. I talked to this guy, the Laksha Jain guy or whatever, seemingly smart guy. A lot of people got a boost because of COVID. Like Trump, like other world leaders got a boost because of COVID. Jacinda Ardern got a boost. The Peruvian president got a boost. A bunch of Western leaders got a boost. I think Boris got a boost. So I'm not so sure that COVID hurt. I think Trump's response to COVID maybe hurt him, but perhaps, but I think if
Trump's response to COVID hurt him.
Okay, but what I'm saying is like I'm not so sure that he would have take out COVID that he would have won anyway. Anyway, I just want to get around all these questions that I think that I should push you on the two choice thing, but it doesn't seem like you want to do
it. You're not going to
win. But here's what I'm saying: like we're not talking between 999 and 1,000. What we're talking about is orders of magnitude difference, not just in Gaza, which it would be orders of magnitude different.
No, it's not order of magnitude different.
Not only in Gaza. Wait, let me just finish it. Not only in Gaza, also domestically. We're not talking about the difference between 999 and 1,000. It is a night and day difference. It's a difference between having a country and not having a country.
I agree that in terms of their policy agenda, absolutely. A shit lib like Kamala, right? A boring corporate shit lib, desperately and completely under the thumb of the billionaires who financed her campaign. Was her campaign not financed to the tune of billions?
Yeah, it was. You know what? I'm gonna get on my stump right now. I'll let you get on your stump. I want to get on my stump. I respect the fuck out of Kamala Harris because she understands.
I don't.
She understood in that moment that she had a responsibility to the fucking nation.
Yeah.
She had a responsibility to the nation. And so
she that fucking money.
And she walked a line that she thought was. Listen, I don't agree with everything she did in the campaign, but I respect the fuck for her trying to fucking win, to be a killer, and to try to find
She did
try to win, and you know what? She probably saved us so many seats in the Senate and the House. And I respect the fuck out of her. I respect the fuck out of her for doing her best to win,
garbage.
and saving us from what otherwise
she didn't do her best to win. She was doing her best to win at the very start of the campaign. Right. When the start of the campaign, when she was coming out with more forceful rhetoric, when she got Tim Walz onto the into the vice president,
and it wasn't
seat,
enough
right?
for you.
No. It was. I was extremely excited. I was telling people, hey, because there were people in my space who were saying she is garbage, don't give her a chance, she's got no charisma. And yeah, she doesn't really have charisma. But I'm like, look past all that. I'm seeing a lot of positive notes from Kamala Harris. I was extremely excited, right? My excitement was increasing from just being optimistic at the start, and then being completely positive, right? At the beginning. Then I started introducing really simple terminology that was exciting the base, right? Just calling Republicans weird. Just calling them weird. Hey, it's weird that Republicans have these policies, right? It's weird that they're so obsessed with whatever's in between the legs of trans individuals. That's a weird fucking thing to do, right? And it was catching on. And putting Tim Walz forward, I think was giving her a lot of attention that she wasn't getting otherwise, right? But here's what happened. According to reporting, right? Well, multiple things happened. One of them was that she got a message of a phone call from President Biden, right? And in that phone call, he says no daylight. And what he means by that is that there can't be daylight between your positions and my positions. That he wanted her to run his campaign, right? And this explains that when she goes on to was it?
Does that strike you as believable? I mean, maybe it happened.
100% believable. Hold on,
Okay.
I'll give you an example of this, right? When she goes on to what's Whoopi Goldberg's thing on ABC, The View. When she goes in The View, her disastrous appearance in The View, and they asked her a simple question: "Hey, what would you do differently from Biden?" Right? She said,
that was a bad answer. That's a bad answer.
No,
but
that's the answer that
you're falling for that meme. You actually believe her when she says, like, I wouldn't do anything different. She's in a tough position, and you're basically.
Do I believe the candidate when they say something? Oh, I'm sorry. During a campaign, I apologize.
Are you that naive, dude? Come on, she's the vice president.
What grace do I have to give her? What grace do I have to give her? And she
was in one of the toughest spots.
She'll be better.
She was thrown in a horrible fucking hole by Joe Biden and.
Yes.
And
terrible president Joe Biden agreed. Yes.
The best president of your lifetime. Name a better.
Awful.
Name a better president of your lifetime. Name a better president. Name a better president of your lifetime.
Name one who's done more damage to the Democratic Party.
Name a better president of your lifetime.
Which one?
Name a better president.
Clinton left the Democratic Party. I don't like Clinton, to be very clear, right? But he left the Democratic
Bill
Party
Clinton? You think the new Democrat Bill Clinton, conservative Bill Clinton, Bill Clinton?
I didn't say I liked him. I just said I didn't like him.
No, do you think he's better than? You think he was a better president than Joe Biden?
I'm saying he left the DNC in a better position than Joe Biden.
They're all conservative new Democrats. Who cares if they're all conservative?
Left them, and I don't like them. I think they're garbage. I think they're garbage.
Who was a better president in your lifetime?
Democratic presidency, hey, anyone that didn't sponsor a genocide, name them. Which one?
George Bush.
Which one didn't?
George Bush.
And
was better than Joe Biden. I want to hear you. I want to hear you say.
No, I thought you were talking about Democratic presidents.
I want to hear. I want to hear you say this. No, I'm just.
Did you say Democratic presidents?
Okay, so you think that Bill Clinton was a better president than Joe Biden?
I named 3 Democrats.
Even though he was way more conservative than Joe Biden. Joe Biden.
I don't like any of his policies. I think that the Obama administration mostly concerned itself with reversing things that happened in the Clinton administration. I think that we're still dealing with those issues. But when Clinton left office, Democrats were in a fantastic position.
Joe Biden ended the war in Afghanistan. I thought you were. I thought you were anti-war.
I didn't say that Joe Biden didn't do things I agreed with. I said, hey, like the FTC, the CFPB were fantastic, right? You know, the parts that were given to him by.
So if it weren't for Gaza, would you acknowledge that Joe Biden was the best president of your lifetime?
I think he was. I think he beyond the genocide that he sponsored, to the tune of billions. I think he did a lot of great things, actually.
Okay, so it's really this Gaza. You're a one-issue voter in this respect. If it weren't for the Gaza stuff, you would have voted for Kamala.
Yes, if it wasn't for the genocide that we are supporting with our tax dollars, if this wasn't for this massive thing that you keep trying to minimize, yes, I would have voted for Kamala Harris. If it wasn't for the genocide.
Yeah, so the problem
I don't know why. Are you just making this? Are you making this connection just now, just in this moment? This thing that keep repeating constantly? Yes, if it wasn't for the genocide that has happened as we speak, that was teed up for Trump by Biden.
How does voting for Kamala help end the genocide? No one ever explains that.
No, because listen, because you're not listening, because you're a shit lib and you're doing the same thing that other shit libs do.
I just don't. How is what you're doing helping?
Hold on. Yeah. I'm not talking about helping. I can't help. My one vote can't help. If I had voted for Kamala Harris, let's say I lived in a swing state. If I had voted for Kamala Harris, Trump would still be in office. Trump would still be in office, correct? I can have helped in that situation, right?
No, in this situation, you know what I'm talking about, right?
I know exactly what you're talking about. Hey, she's owed your vote. Hey, why aren't you doing your obligation? And in that way, helping Kamala Harris, the one who promised to continue the genocide. Actually, no, I couldn't.
Well, she was trying to get a ceasefire, and so was Joe Biden.
She wasn't. No, she was. No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't.
So you don't think Joe Biden was trying to get a ceasefire?
I say that Joe Biden understood that the Netanyahu government was trying to sabotage a ceasefire the entire time.
Yeah,
right?
Of course he was.
And Joe Biden carried water for him the entire time, being the ultra-Zionist that he was. right? That he didn't actually forcefully fight. He didn't do the things that could have actually ended this the goddamn.
But he did want a ceasefire. Do you think he wanted a ceasefire?
Hold on. Listen, what would have made a difference there, right? Joe Biden begging and pleading and getting on his knees and sucking on Netanyahu's cock, or denying him a weapon, saying that we will send not one more dollar to Israel. Which one would have been more effective?
Yeah, I think that Joe Biden should have been harsher on Netanyahu earlier on. I don't disagree with you.
No. The entire time.
What you're suggesting,
the entire time. At any point in time, you could have stopped sending those weapons. Which would have been more effective? Begging Netanyahu, please, thank you, I beg of you, sir, or deny him the money. Which one?
Yeah, so I think that being stronger, like I said, against Netanyahu.
Stop being stronger. Stop trying to be a weasel.
It's not weasel. I was about to say including, right? So including, for example, stopping aid to Israel, including stopping weapons shipments to Israel, all those different measures. That's what I'm encompassing in the rubric. That might have had the desired effect. That might have had the desired effect here.
It would have, because Israel can't prosecute this war about it.
But I'm not sure about that. I don't know that to be the case. I don't know that to be the case. I think that's the assumption of a lot of people. Certainly, I want to be. Some people saying like, I don't want to call it genocide. I've called it a genocide before. I've said that I support not sending arms or aid to Israel. So I mean, I'm not shying away from any position here. Right. All I'm trying to suggest to you is that, and this is really the question you have to ask yourself. Don't you think that if a Democrat's in the White House, that we have a materially better situation in Gaza for Palestinians? Do you think that? Do you think that's true?
Pisco,
just answer the question.
No. I won't answer that question because Pisco, you're asking me why I voted the way I voted, right? Mm-hmm. And I try to explain that to you, and then you ignore it and say like, no, answer this other question, right? Like I'm going to shift the paradigm.
I'm not shifting anything. So it's all getting into the same thing, which is your vote. Which is your vote.
Try this. Repeat. What? And I've already told you. Why didn't I vote for Kamala Harris?
You said because she was supportive of the genocide. That's what you said.
Okay. And there's a relation to that. But she didn't clear my ethical bar. Sorry. She didn't clear my ethical bar. There's a minimum ethical bar, and she didn't clear that.
Okay, which was supporting the genocide in your mind, even though she was in favor of a ceasefire. Being in favor of a ceasefire is and promising to continue Joe Biden's policies means the genocide continues. All right,
right?
So she didn't clear your ethical bar.
You can rhetorically say I'm for a ceasefire, like all these fucking centrist countries that you named previously, right? Are all in favor of a ceasefire, but aren't going to do a fucking thing to make it happen, right? So no, that's not enough.
So just to be clear, if you knew for certainty that Kamala Harris in office right now would like save the lives of 20,000 Palestinians, would you substitute her in for Trump?
No, I don't vote for people who support genocide.
So even if it would save 20,000 lives, even if you put in 20,000 lives of Palestinians,
my friend,
you wouldn't. I mean, that's
because here's what you're doing. No, because you're like, hey, if you had that magic ball, right? Which the crystal ball, I should say, like a crystal ball, and you could see into the future, right? And it can alter. You can use that to guide your election decision. Would you have done the thing?
You're saying even if you knew you wouldn't do it. You're saying even if you knew it would save the lives, you wouldn't do it. That's crazy.
But you don't actually know.
No, but
right?
if you knew,
this is why. Hold on.
You knew,
but this is But here's the thing. This is why I don't like these hypotheticals. Right?
Because they reveal things, man.
They obfuscate more than they show. No, it's the actual opposite of that, right? Because then it says that, like, well, then your decision is based on, like, who the slightly lesser evil. This is another way of putting the slightly lesser evil. But I'm not voting on the slightly lesser evil. I'm saying, hey, there's an ethical bar to clear. Will you support a genocide? I will never vote for a person who supports a genocide. Full stop. Right? And hold on. So. Let's rewind a bit here, right? We talked about don't worry, but we're gonna fight a lot. We talked about fuck. Now I kind of lost it there once again. We talking about why I'm voting the way I'm voting, right? Oh yes, you were talking about helping. That's what I was going for. Mm-hmm. We're saying, hey, how can you help? I can't help through my vote, right? My one vote, we agree that no matter how much Pisco or any shit lib just like him berates me over my vote, that like even if Pisco could give me a time machine and change my vote, that actually we end up in the same situation, right? We're right back here, correct? Great. So there is no option.
That's true of any vote, though. But it's kind of a cop out, right?
Yes, of course. No, it's not a cop out. No, I'm addressing this directly. Simply the case is that I can't vote. All I can do is make a decision, right? A decision based on my own principle, like what anyone else can do, right? And hope that the totality of those decisions
okay.
Takes us to a better future. I'm sorry, I'm still getting off with this code. Those totality of those decisions takes us to a better place, right? The totality, my decisions, other people's decisions, takes us to a better future. That's all I can do, right? However, the thing that always happens in these conversations is that yes, libs try to berate you and saying, well, she'd be a slight that she would institute a slightly kinder,
crazily better.
No,
crazily
kinder,
better.
No, it wasn't. No, sorry. I disagree with because Biden had almost no controls on and I want to say absolutely no controls on Israel, but I'll in case I'm missing something in my head at this very moment, I'll say almost no controls on what Israel could do. He teed up the situation we're in right now, right? So you're saying it would be better from a person who said, I promise you I'm going to do the same thing that Joe Biden did. I promise you I'm going to continue the genocide. So no, I don't have any reason to believe. You are simply saying that, right? Saying that would be the outcome, right? But she was beholden to Zionist billionaires who made it very clear who and who wasn't allowed in the party. And she, like a good dog, obeyed, right? So no, I don't believe her. I don't believe you. When you simply state things would be so much better, specifically when we're talking about Gaza. No, actually, if she acted like Biden, then when does she say no? When does she say no? Biden never said no. When does she say no?
What about your country, dude? What about your country? I mean,
hold on. What about your country? We already established what I'm voting over, right? Correct?
Yeah, you care more about Palestine than your own country.
Yeah, I care more about the genocide that's happening.
Than your own country falling to dictatorship.
I care more about the genocide that's happening. Look, I had this argument with my parents. My parents were talking about like their Social Security and what happened to their Social Security if he got in office. I'm saying I told them, like I'll tell you, that despite that hurting them, and I've been hurt personally by Trump's policies, like materially hurt by some of Trump's policies. I saw that coming.
I'm telling you, all the Zionists are laughing their ass off that Trump won the election. They're laughing all the way, and you're laughing along with them.
And why would I be laughing along with them?
I mean, when Kamala Harris won, what was your feeling? I mean, lost. What was your? How did you react?
I think that she deserved it because she tossed it away. She tossed away a winning chance,
man to man.
I just told you how I felt.
No, you said that she deserved to lose. Again, that's again incorporating the kind of like she, you owed your vote. She deserved to lose. These are all ways.
She deserved to lose because she ran a bad campaign.
Are you glad she lost?
Am I glad she lost? I have mixed feelings about that. I think that one, I'm sad for the country that once again liberals, handmaidens of fascism, refuse to institute and follow any policies that discourage people to vote for them, and so we end up with a fascist in office. I'm sorry that they sabotaged the country. I'm not sorry for Kamala because I don't care about Kamala, her as an individual, right? So fuck her.
How about the millions of people who are going to be affected by the loss of USAID? What about the?
Hold on. I'll get to it. So I'm sad for what Trump was going to do, how Trump is going to brutalize people over and above the brutalization that Kamala was happy with. But in terms of for the DNC, for the health of the DNC. That I was happy because I think that her brand and Joe Biden's brand of politics needed a defeat. We needed this space.
I don't know what that means. They needed a defeat.
Well, I'll tell you what it means. We needed to be within the wilderness.
That's Cenk Uygur. That's Cenk Uygur.
I mean, well, wilderness is a common term that we use. A political.
No, I mean that's his argument is I'm so hopeful now because we're in the wilderness and in the populous wilderness.
Okay, well maybe. But yeah, so being in this political wilderness, that we have a chance to rethink what our party is going to be, right? That they weren't triumphant. In fact, they lost. It was a humiliating loss, historic loss, and now it gives us the space to reckon with that, and where we wouldn't have if she had won. However, of course, this comes at the cost of lives. Of lives in this country and lives in other countries as well.
I mean, this is a comment from YouTube. You tell me if you agree with it. 4 years of skull fucking Gaza was a good thing because it rattled the DNC. Thoughts?
4 years of skull fucking Gaza was a good thing because it rattled the DNC. No, why would I say that?
Well, it wasn't a good thing, right? It was bad that Kamala lost, wasn't it?
No, hold on. Sorry.
No,
it is bad for. No, hold on. Let me.
No, in your mind, is it bad? I'm just you personally.
Let me. It is bad for the country because I have nuanced thoughts on this. It's bad for the country that Kamala Harris lost, right? But it's equally bad for the country that Kamala Harris chose that policy agenda, right?
Equally bad.
Hold on.
Equally
yes.
bad.
Because that's why she lost. That's why she lost.
I'm not so sure about that. I don't know what the evidence is for that.
Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Like, you have to split the. When I say Kamala Harris, I also mean Joe Biden as well, because there was no daylight kid, right? Because she didn't separate herself, because it was a continuity of the both. So when I say Kamala Harris, I also assume I mean Joe Biden as well, unless I say otherwise. So yes, because of the policy agenda she chose and she put forth, right? That is the tragedy. Because that tragedy put us in this particular situation. That's the case, right? So what the shit lib, like Pisco, desperately tries to frame this at, right, is that like, well, the country is at a deficit because she didn't get enough votes, rather than the country is a deficit because she didn't do a better job, right? Because she did a poor campaign, because she chose a poor policy platform. None of that.
I kind of view it as separate issues.
Of course you do. It's very important that you do, right? Because else we'd have to actually examine those issues.
I literally think that they're separate claims. So one claim is, did Kamala do bad because she did X? And the other one is, did you do bad because you did Y? You know, whether you have culpability, you could be culpable, and Kamala also is culpable. I am not culpable
for Kamala's actions.
Well, I think you are, in a sense, ethically culpable.
And that's where we disagree.
For your own action, right? Because
my own actions, I took an ethical stance, right, against genocide. That's what I did, right? That, hey, if you support genocide, you don't get my vote, right? A simple bar to clear, right? Most other people can clear it. Not Kamala Harris, not Joe Biden, and not Trump.
For all the good it did for the Gazans, or I mean,
no,
you're basically suggesting
I can't do it because you put the emphasis on me, right? You put the emphasis on other people for all the good you did for the Gazans, but I couldn't do any good for the Gazans other than like maybe sending money or protesting on their behalf or something like that.
You could have voted for Kamala, and if other people,
you could. No, hold on. I couldn't have done that. Could I have? Because we're talking about
not dispositively you by yourself.
No. But... Okay. I couldn't do it. So okay. So it wasn't my fault then, right? So I couldn't have had an effect. So was it my fault, right? The only vote that I have the power to change is my own vote, correct? Right? The only vote that I have.
I'm not sure about that. You also have an audience. You also have.
That's fair. That's fair.
You know, like I assume you have some
Everyone
influence
hangs on my
some
words.
people.
That's true.
But I mean,
everyone hangs on my words.
But like, then if that's the case, then you have no negative words for anyone who voted for Kamala or anyone who voted for Trump, because they didn't affect the genocide either, because their vote wasn't dispositive. Is that right? Of course you would have. You do put moral culpability. Like the thing is, Prime.
No,
it's so. I just want to say it's so ridiculous because you saying that your vote didn't matter. If it didn't matter, you wouldn't put so much weight on it, and the fact that you voted against Kamala or not for Kamala in the first place. So clearly, your vote matters to you, and clearly you do ascribe some culpability if someone votes for Kamala because you think that that's voting for the genocide because you're voting for someone who's in favor of the genocide. So can you spare us with this? I mean, this is.
I won't. No, I won't spare. So again, I won't let you do your moral preening on this because I see what you're trying to do, trying to shift this something. No, when I say that, I encourage people to vote. I've always voted in every election that I've been able to vote. I voted. I've never not voted. Right, even in this election, I voted. Right, just not for president, because no one could clear the ethical bar of not supporting a genocide. All war criminals.
Did you vote for Jill Stein?
I don't know if I had that option in my state. But in any case, and I have some problems with the Green Party, but Jill Stein's fine. We're talking about ethical obligations, right?
Yeah.
Like the way you try to shift this is like, well, you didn't help, right? The thing that you're helping is the Gazans, right? Your vote helps the Gazans, my individual vote, but then you shift the blame, right? A blame that lands on a collective, on the individual. So
clearly you do too, right? Because the very fact that you're putting moral weight in your own vote and you're considering the ramifications of your vote and you're saying like, I'm not going to vote for someone who supports genocide means that your vote has some weight to you. Otherwise you wouldn't be voting in the way you do. So
I noticed that the entire time you don't want to talk about Kamala's policy.
I'm happy to,
that doesn't. Oh, okay. So
no, but like we can move off.
The thing that would attract voters. The thing that I've been talking about the entire time. We can move off. I've always been.
Well, no, I think the entire time we were talking about your vote, right? Like your vote. Why did you vote?
No, the reason why I voted is because of Kamala policy. Or the reason, or I didn't vote was because of Kamala's policies, right? The thing I've been saying the entire time, right? The thing that you've been voting the entire time because you want to put the ethical weight on voters rather than the candidate.
I think you do have something to answer for because, but listen, can we just address it because like to be honest, right? You do put weight on your vote. You do put your weight on your vote. It's not this. You can't just be like, well, my vote wouldn't have affected anything. That's a cop out because the fact that you're putting so much like moral prescription on your own vote and this moral line means that you do value your vote, and it's not enough for you to just be like, well, it wouldn't have mattered like that. If you're treating the vote the way you are, where it like you're highly valuing it, it's more than just the dispositive nature of whether it would have changed the outcome. That has to follow. You understand what I'm
saying? Let me see. Maybe I can build a bridge here.
I think we already have a bridge, man. I mean, the bridge is there. It's always been there.
Yeah, the bridge to you to come over to my side. Yeah. Okay, let me shift this a bit. Yes, I put some level of importance in my vote, or else I wouldn't, have agonized over and I did agonize. I literally talked to people before, and I talked to a number of people like, hey, like this, like I'm on the fence. I want to vote for. I thought the election would be much closer than it was.
It was a close election.
I thought it'd be even closer. Like, hey, man, like it might be a couple of dozen votes across a few states. Like I agonized about this, and I wouldn't agonize about something that didn't matter at all. You're correct there. That's fair.
Yeah, so right? If it mattered to you, then you can't just be like, well, it wouldn't have changed anything. I mean, like, come on, man. I mean,
but at the same time, and that was the second part, is that it wouldn't have changed anything. And the actuality,
I know, but when we talk about like ethics of voting, we're talking about some broader signaling value and like kind of mapping that onto a collection of voter, right? And it's kind of like it's a proxy conversation of who ought to have won. right? So we all understand that any individual voter has an essentially zero chance of affecting the election. And so when we say you should have voted for XYZ, we're not saying it in the sense of if you did,
a person who voted, who supported the genocide didn't ought to have won.
So in other words, you're saying it was good that Kamala didn't win.
I'm not going to attach good or bad to it.
Well,
I'm saying that
what is something that's good other than something that ought happen? I don't like what is good other than what ought occur.
Let me not use your language, okay? Let me just use my language. Hold on. I won't just use your language. I'm saying she didn't deserve to win because she didn't. She supported genocide.
So I don't know what you mean by deserve to win, meaning it would does deserve mean something other than
didn't earn the win, maybe.
Yeah, so might be does clearer. Earn the win, like when you say earn the win, you mean like in order to win, in order to actual win, like ethically win, you need to have cleared a bar?
No, not ethically, I guess as well, but I'm saying that she didn't do the necessary steps to win.
You're saying from like a electoral prognosis standpoint, like if she wanted to win, she would have done X, Y, Z?
Yeah, she would have.
Okay, but I'm not asking in that sense. I'm saying like basically, would it have been better? Do you think overall, in terms of your own ethical system, wouldn't it have been better if Kamala won versus Trump?
Yes.
Okay, so if you think it would have been, so in other words, if it would have been better under your ethical view for Kamala to have won, why wouldn't you have done a thing that is in line with what would have been better?
Because she didn't earn my vote. Because the thing that you want to ignore.
Yeah.
See, you pretend like you're integrating this into your arguments, but you aren't. The thing that you want to talk about is, hey, you owe her your vote, right? As a person who is nominally aligned to the left, you owe her your vote. Like Hillary Clinton, she was owed the votes, right? Why didn't she win? Right? She was supposed to be coronated, right? I mean, the DNC thought so. Hell, they in that New York auditorium, and they were going to do the laser light shows of like her breaking the glass ceiling, right? They were so sure of themselves that she earned the vote when she didn't earn the vote. When she didn't do the campaign she was supposed to do in like Wisconsin and Michigan, I believe. She didn't, where she didn't go there.
I kind of just view that as a separate, like, when you say like,
how is that separate? No, it's not.
There's separate things.
These things are intimately tied.
Your ethical responsibility to vote for the better candidate.
I don't have responsibility.
You don't have responsibility to vote responsibly?
Hold on. Okay. So if
you clearly think you do because you voted not.
No, try this. Yeah. No, try this. Hey, if the candidate, so there's a Democrat and there's a Republican. The Republican campaigns hard, right? Campaigns like Trump did, right? Which is meaning constantly campaigning, is everywhere, is constantly pushing the message. The Democrat literally does not show up anywhere, right? Never does.
Yeah, Kamala's and Hillary's capability is separate from yours.
No.
It's separate from yours.
These things are intimately tied. So I'm trying to.
Did you vote for Joe Biden?
Hey, hold on.
Did you vote for Joe Biden?
I did vote for Joe Biden.
Okay, cool.
I did vote for Joe Biden. Okay. Yes. I told you before. I already told you. I voted in every election that I was eligible for president.
So you did the right thing there. You did the right thing. Even though Joe Biden was a Zionist in 2020, he was a Zionist in 2020.
I had no idea that he was a Zionist, and I had no idea he was pro-genocide. If I had known he was pro-genocide, I wouldn't have voted for Joe Biden. Make that very clear. But in any case, if the Democrat literally never goes anywhere, but like we are and doesn't talk about their policies, right? But I guess we're to assume, they're a Democrat, so they must have cleared some sort of bar for the DNC, and they are our candidate who's going to be on the ticket, right? Does that person owe your vote? They literally never. Yeah.
So when you keep saying owed vote, like I understand an owing.
Well, you said owed as well.
Yeah. This is a concept that I often see with people, I have to say, who are kind of cagey or didn't vote in 2024. They said even I'm just saying, like there are some people who will say like it doesn't really matter what I did or didn't do because Kamala deserved to lose, or Kamala wasn't owed people's vote, or she wasn't earning the vote. And I just view those as kind of, and I'm not saying you're doing this on purpose, but I kind of view that as a weasel way to get around the real thing, which is like was it the right thing to do to vote for her? Because like I don't understand the concept of deserve separate and apart from what ought to happen. Like if I deserve something, it means I you know, something ought be given to me. You know, if she deserves to win, it's because she ought to have victory. You know, she ought to have the victory.
When I gave you the option before, which we never really got a chance to explore because you kept trying to bastardize the hypothetical of the two pedophiles, right?
Yeah.
One slightly worse than another, right? Is there an ethical obligation to vote for the slightly worse pedophile? Is that slightly
assuming
worse
that there's
pedophile?
only two options?
There's a third option.
What's the third option?
Not voting. Yes.
Okay, but
when the system
not voting is not voting for either of them. You know, if that's has no chance of affecting the dichotomy, then I think you have a moral obligation to vote for less child rape. Do you agree?
No.
Oh, okay.
You don't have an ethical obligation to vote yes for any child rape, right?
Okay, so if you were given the option, vote for genocide of every single race or vote for genocide of all but one race, who are you going to vote for?
So
neither.
I'm going to vote for any of them.
Okay.
No, I'm not going to vote for any. Look, you don't have genocidal maniacs aren't on my vote. Child rapists aren't on my vote. I get that you are for the pro slightly less child rape ticket, right? I get that excites you. I get that you can't wait to go out, sweat it out in whatever state you're in, right?
I'm just trying to reduce harm, bro. I mean, like you can put it that way.
Yeah, I'm trying to reduce.
I'm just trying to reduce harm.
Ever so slightly less child rape, right?
You don't care that
pedophile. Which pedophile is?
Say it to the thousands of Gazans.
No, don't try to put that on. No, I won't. Because you're doing it again. Fuck you. No, fuck you, and fuck this framing. No, fuck this framing. No, because once again, you put it on me. Instead, the thing that you keep trying to avoid, and I said that at the very start of this conversation, right? That shit libs like Pisco, right? Want to avoid talking about the actual candidate and the actual choices they made, right? Because that's that part implicates the DNC and implicates them, right? Them for supporting these awful candidates, right? They don't want to talk about Kamala Harris, right? They don't want to say that. All they want to talk about.
So you think I'm culpable because I voted for Kamala Harris and I advocated for Kamala Harris? You think I'm culpable with genocide, even though my vote wouldn't have changed anything?
No, I think you feel that way. I think you feel that way.
I don't feel that way.
You're culpable. This is why you want to obfuscate the conversation. So in any case, right? The policies is what the original sin here isn't my vote. It's not my vote, right? That's the end. This is how Israelis.
Who cares what's the original sin or not the original sin?
Like, because it actually fucking matters. Actually, the order of operation matters, counselor. Of course it does.
Why does what the original sin matter?
Just like. Oh no! Of course it does. Hold on. This is what Israelis do, right? Israelis like, well, we're attacked on October 7th. History begins on October 7th.
Okay, but don't you criticize them for that? Don't you criticize them for that for focusing?
Absolutely, right? So I say, hey, let's back.
Like, okay.
And so, hold on. Where do you think I think history begins, Pisco? Where do you think I think history began? Tell me. When does history begin?
3 billion years ago at the fucking Big Bang or something? I don't know.
Sorry. In terms of the presidential election.
I don't know. 1776, Declaration of Independence. I don't know where you start. Like, I'm not trying to be glib here. I don't fucking know when you start the clock.
Okay.
I'm trying to be as good faith. I really am trying here.
Okay. Oh, it's all right. So when I'm talking about looking into history, right? I feel like the way that you're framing this is that year one or second one, whatever, is when I cast my vote, my empty ballot vote, or November 4th. Let's just put it that way, right? November 4th. That's when the election was. Maybe I haven't done this up. Whatever. The election. That moment is the beginning, right? That's where we start assigning probability. I say it happened before that. I mean, years before, right? At the very least, when Joe Biden made the decision to support the genocide, right? At the very least, we should start there. Maybe we should start beforehand, right? I think we actually should because I think there was a myriad of things that helped lose this election that put us in this exact position. But still, for the purpose of this conversation, right? I think it's fair to talk about the inciting incident should be Joe Biden.
Joe Biden is where you start the clock. I mean, that's convenient.
Okay, where do you think I should start the clock?
I don't think you should. I think you should take every action in the moment it's taken. Considering everything. I don't think the timeline here is like you had a decision on November. What was it, 3rd? Well, you had a decision on election day.
Wherever election day, yeah.
On election day, and I'm assume that you're part of taking into account what to do. You're taking things in the past, you're taking things in the present, and you're taking your priors and intuitions about what's going to happen in the future. And I just don't understand original sin of it. It's the same with the genocide in Gaza, right? Yeah, October 7th, did you condemn it?
I think that yeah. Hold on, we'll do this. I think if people have the right to fight back within armed resistance. I condemn the deaths of civilians. I don't condemn the deaths of military assets, right? So any civilians that were murdered in their homes, no, I don't support that whatsoever. In terms of murdering military assets, absolutely.
Okay, well, I'll just say, with respect to the genocide, just because, even assuming you start the clock at time equals 0 at October 7th, I assume you wouldn't be okay, because there's an original sin, it therefore justifies everything after that. I mean, that's the kind of thinking that I thought that pro-Palestinian people are trying to fight against, and so I just don't. I don't really. The entire time. What's the entire time? What's the point of doing this? Okay, then what's the point of doing this whole original sin was Kamala Harris, Joe Biden? Who the fuck cares? You had a choice and you failed.
Who the fuck cares? No, who the fuck cares? Guy, hold on. What am I voting for? What are we doing in the act of voting, right?
Yeah.
Are we voting for teams? Are we voting for honor? Are we voting for pride? Or are we voting for...
What are you voting for? I'm voting for to make people's lives better and to protect America.
Hold on. Yeah, okay. Well, then, yes, then you're different than me, right? You're okay with genocide, right? You're fine.
Really? You think I'm okay with genocide?
Doesn't... Yeah, actually, I think
what makes you think
that you're saying, literally this entire conversation. But hold on, right? So what are we voting for? Are we voting for individual leaders who make promises, who push a policy agenda that will actually have effect in real life, right? Or are we voting for red team, blue team, for the honor of our cities? Is that what we're doing? What is the point of voting if not voting for a specific policy agenda, right? People will make fun of the uninformed voter, right? Because the reasons why they vote are just utterly baffling, right? You can't seem to pin them down as to what makes sense to these individuals.
And you don't,
low information voters.
Low information. Are you about to virtue signal and be like, I love these low information voters. I love them, what they stand for?
No.
Oh, my bad. I thought you were gonna be like, people make fun of these low information voters, but you do too, right?
Yeah, I think you should. I think you should be educating yourself on the issues.
All right,
these issues are important.
I read that wrong.
I wouldn't be arguing about these issues. That's fair.
But you think that Kamala's policy platform is better than Trump's, and so I just don't and I understand that she didn't meet the minimum threshold. We're not going to loop on that again. But okay.
So then why do you bring it up then?
I'm just saying.
Well, that's the thing that matters to me.
I think that people who care or profess to care about the Palestinian people, that it's cold comfort. This kind of
no, don't give me that. Don't give me that. This is why I said fuck you before. Okay,
why?
This is why I say fuck you before.
Because you don't want to deal with the consequences of the kind of people.
No, you don't want to deal with Kamala Harris, the candidate, because once again, you place the blame on me. You place the blame on the voter rather than the candidate. Hey, Pisco, why this entire time did you haven't said Kamala? She should have. She ought to have. She had the moral obligation to, right? She had the ethical obligation to not support the genocide.
Because I'm not convinced it would have helped her. Because I'm not convinced it would have helped her win.
Hold on. That's why. We're talking about a genocide. Why would that even have mattered anyway?
Because
right?
I think the primary goal, and this is something you'll never understand or respect, was in that moment she needed to win. For the sake of this country, for the sake of the future, and for the sake, of the Palestinians, she needed to win.
But even then,
I'm not convinced that what happens if she calls it a genocide, Prime?
No, not calling it genocide ain't enough, right? Actually doing something, promising to do something.
What the fuck can she do? She has Joe Biden. She has no power.
No. No, hon. She's asking for the power during the campaign to be president.
I understand
right?
that.
Hey,
So
what will you do?
If she
what
said,
will you do?
If she said,
what will you do?
If she said we're a party to a genocide, and if I'm president, I'm going to stop the genocide. If she did that, do you think she would have won or she would have lost harder?
I have numbers. Let's go through the numbers.
Okay.
So
you know, the minute she does that, I want to say, the minute she does that, she's throwing Joe Biden under the bus, right? So
fuck Joe Biden.
Okay,
fuck.
She's the vice president, and the Republicans are going to be like, wait a second. So wait a second, Kamala Harris. So you're the vice president of a. Do you denounce your own president? Do you denounce the person that you ran with? You denounce the person.
Actually, be brave.
So
yeah. Okay. Actually, be brave. Actually,
you understand how much of a clusterfuck that looks to? The vice president, Joe Biden's fucking partner in crime, now has just condemned him as a genocide fucking person.
There's all kinds of ways.
Like what?
There's all. Like what? Like, there's all kinds of ways you can finesse this. I get the vagaries of
it looks bad
of a campaign, right? Of rhetoric. So you could say, look, Joe Biden made a tough decision in tough times, right? But I, as my own woman, right, with my own brain, supposedly that I have, I've decided I've made a difficult. To condemn
Joe Biden, to
and
call
the most important thing, and look at you, the thing that you're most worried about in this moment, because you're a shit lib, right? Like what I said, right, is how Joe Biden would feel, right? How would it look on Joe Biden's legacy? Oh my God,
it would be a fucking disaster, and you know it.
No, it wouldn't.
It would be a disaster.
No, I don't know it. No, hold on. I don't know that. You don't know that. And like I said, there's all kinds of ways to, without necessarily condemning Joe Biden, right? That you could have done this. Like I said, hey, oh my God, Joe Biden, in a moment of crisis, he stepped up. He did what he had to do, what any American president had to do. He took, he was trying to use the most peaceful, go through the peaceful, most the path of friendship with our Israeli allies, right? He was trying to walk the path of friendship. But unfortunately, our Israeli allies haven't been good partners here, right? And so I must, as my own person, follow a different path, right? So no, I don't condemn Joe Biden. He really did his best, right? But I simply feel that there's a different path.
That would have been a lie, though, right? In your mind, it would have been a lie. You wanted her to lie. It would have been a lie.
No. It wouldn't. Sorry. It depends on. Sorry, no. I'm a little confused here, and it depends on what you mean here. Okay?
Your little proposal Hold
on. What's a second? Because you don't know where I'm confused.
Okay, my bad.
What kind of Kamala Harris are we talking about? Are we talking about a Kamala Harris who actually has ethical principles, right? This one doesn't exist. This is an imaginary person, right? If you're talking about that person, then it's the truth, right? If you're talking about Kamala, who doesn't have ethical principles, the ones we have, right? Who stands for absolutely nothing, then yeah, it might have been a lie.
Well, no, it wouldn't have been the truth. What do you think it would have been the truth to be like Joe Biden, who in your mind, this hypothetical Kamala, I'm assuming has some aspect of your mind in ethical morality and under your ethics, you think Joe Biden should be thrown in the fucking in the Hague and should be fucking.
He's a war criminal.
He should be hanged for genocide.
He's a war criminal.
Yeah, so like
he's a war criminal.
So if Kamala has even 10% of that energy, I don't know how she says, yeah, he's a well-meaning old guy.
Because she also has some Pisco psyche, right? And she understands that she needs to win. It would be a disaster if she just condemned him, right? And so instead, she'll say that he was a good person doing the best that he could do at the time, right? And then
Miss Harris, you've called this a genocide. Your administration is continuing to fund it. Is it your position that your genocide that your administration you're a part of is funding a genocide? Wait, no. I want you to be Kamala Harris, right? You be Kamala Harris. Okay. I'm the reporter. Okay. Miss Harris, you've recently called it a genocide, and you've said that America is a part of genocide. Are you saying that you're a part of an administration that is intentionally helping a genocide in the moment?
Yes, that administration that is intentionally helping the genocide.
Why don't you resign, Miss Harris? Why haven't you resigned yet?
Because I was doing the best I could behind the scenes.
Now that you've come public, don't you have an obligation to resign, especially since the administration is not listening to you?
No, I'm going to use this platform to hopefully gain office.
So have you stopped working with administrations and stopped being read in on meetings because of your moral? I mean, like, do you understand
how fucking stop being read on meetings?
Can you acknowledge this is a fucking a disaster thing to do?
I don't. No, I don't.
Okay.
No, I don't. No,
I think that is delusional. Like that. Okay. That entire setup. Come on, guy. I mean, like, this is
no.
Okay.
I don't. No, you keep saying, you can state it. Hey, this is a disaster, as if campaigns don't have the right to respond, right? That voters can't make an assessment that, hey, first of all, there is a within the Democratic Party, there is a foreign policy disaster taking place at this moment, right? One that the vast majority of the Democratic Party is against. Right, the people she actually needs to vote for. No, they were against it then. 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 We can find the polling on that too.
No, look at the numbers.
They weren't. We can do that. But in any case, so these people were against the situation. They can make an assessment on what kind of person she is and what action she could take, and she can make a response. Right? Like you can, you're saying, well, the reporters might ask her a tough question. Oh my God, Prime! What happens if they ask her a tough question? Well, if they're asking, if they're asking, well, for you, a shit lib, I'm sure it would be. For Kamala, for real Kamala, a shit lib, I'm sure it would be, right? But for the principal Kamala, the imaginary Kamala, yes, this is a perfectly matter.
No, basically, you think that she should have resigned. I mean, like.
No, I mean, oh, actually, hold on, sorry.
Yes.
Hold on, 1 second. I think before Joe Biden dropped out, when we under the impression that he would be the candidate, then yeah, she should have resigned, right? She should have resigned in protest. She should have resigned saying, hey, I'm not going to be part of this administration. That or at the very least, she should have started with, hey, this is a disaster, like make a speech, like, hey, I'm taking an ethical stance against this, right? I've done my best, president in the background, to discuss this, but I have to put more pressure on them, so I'm taking this public, right? And if it still doesn't change, then she should have resigned. However, she didn't resign, and she was put in a position of giving opportunity to take the reins, right? And in that position, then there's no point in resigning at that point. You might as well finish out your term in office while running for the campaign.
I don't know, man. I think you're starting to see some of the practical issues here. And I don't know that, at least in the position, put aside the kind of moral line here, and the position
because that part's important that we don't look at that. Go ahead. Yeah, sure. That part's not important to you. Go ahead.
Well, I'm in the game of harm reduction, and so if both sides are in favor of a genocide, right? If both sides are in favor of it, sure. I think you do have to make tough decisions. And I think it's easy for you to say from your position of where you are.
Don't fucking try me.
It's easy for you to say I'd rather not choose.
Don't fucking try me.
The rest of the country needs to choose. The rest of the country needs to make a decision. And put on their big boy pants.
Don't fucking try me on that. Don't fucking try me, because again, shit lib. This is what you do. Again, the focus can never be on Kamala Harris, can never be on the candidate, can never be on Joe Biden, can never be on the actions of the people in power, right? Instead, you put the focus on the people with the least amount of power, right? You talk about October 7th, the people who had the least amount of power rising up, right? You're talking about the election, the people with the least amount of power, right? Making choices there, right? And saying, not enough of you made the choice that I deem to be correct, right? And instead of looking at the people who had the most ability to change things, which would be who? The fucking leaders, right? And
I think it would undermine I think it would undermine the ceasefire negotiations, actually. So if you're imagine what the
ceasefire. Hold on. Oh, so what were the results of the negotiation? Did you tell me there was also ceasefire negotiations?
They did
that would have been undermined. Which one?
They did have months-long ceasefires. At least one during the administration.
They had ceasefire. They had temporary ceasefires that Israeli broke. Israel
broke. But you know what?
Because it wasn't because it wasn't backed by actual change. Because it wasn't backed by like a revocation of funds, right? Because it wasn't backed by anything but like kisses and wishes and promises. That ceasefire that fell apart immediately, that Israel didn't
Trump is taking away funding from universities because they allow pro-Palestinian protests.
Hey,
Trump is fucking discriminating against all the non-citizens because of their
beliefs. Cracked down on universities during his he cracked down on the protesters. No. Absolutely.
There were slaps on their wrists, and they were going after people who did crimes. All right, and they weren't using the powers of the federal government to fucking deperson you if you were supporting Israel or Palestine.
I want to get the numbers.
Okay, go to the numbers.
Okay. So, fucking shit lips. Okay.
I mean, I don't know. You look around you. We're in a nightmare right now, and it's because partly,
and it's because of Kamala Harris. It's because of Kamala Harris. It's because of Joe Biden. The people you refuse to examine. The people you absolutely positively refuse to examine. And you can say, okay, even if you can say it would have been a disaster if Kamala Harris had done that, right? Like at the end, right, being like months away from the election, you're saying it would have been a disaster for Kamala Harris to break away from the positions of Joe Biden.
The party would have been an utter. We would have lost the House by a landslide, the Senate by a landslide. It would have been a disaster.
Let me give you that. I'll give you that. All right. Like Pisco's completely right. Okay. So then what about Joe Biden? What about his decisions, right? Then it would have fallen on him not to.
I do blame Joe Biden a lot.
Joe Biden, no, because you haven't, because this entire time you barely.
So my chat knows that you're full of shit right now because I've been talking shit about Joe Biden now for months and months, and everyone knows it.
Hold on. Yes, but this entire conversation. You desperately want to put the blame on me.
Well, that's what I was asking you about.
Rather than Joe Biden.
I'll give you this. I'll give you this. I'll give you this, Prime. I'll give you this. I think Joe Biden has more responsibility for the outcome than you do. I will give you that. 100%.
Than anyone else other than like the Netanyahu administration outside of Israel, basically.
I mean, I don't know about that, but I'm just gonna say because Joe Biden's decision not to drop out.
Anyone? Who else? Like outside of, I'm saying outside of Israel, outside of the Netanyahu administration, right? He would have the most culpability. Than who else would have more?
Well, I think basically Well, I don't think it has to do with Gaza. I think it has to do with him not dropping out. I think your delusion you think that Israel-Palestine was factoring into people's votes during the election.
Okay, hold on. I've got numbers. We'll get to that in a second.
All right, let's see the numbers.
But you're saying that Joe Biden still, even
by not dropping out, had more of an impact than you.
Okay. By not dropping out. Okay.
But it's not because of Gaza.
Hold on. It wouldn't have been a campaign issue at all if he didn't support the genocide. Correct?
No, I think it still would have been a campaign issue.
What would have been the campaign issue?
How to deal with Israel, Palestine, and Gaza. That's a campaign issue.
But do you think it would have split the party?
Yes.
If we aren't supporting, if the Democratic Party isn't actively supporting the genocide.
Yes.
I disagree. I mean, like the entire
one of the strongest minorities for the Democrats is the Jewish American community, who in principle, is more representatively pro-Israel. It's constantly been a big source of contention in the party.
And they always vote for.
It's not just.
And they always vote for. Actually, you know what? Let me leave that alone. Let me not get distracted by that. Okay. The numbers. All right.
These are the numbers.
So I have three. Well, I guess technically four sources that I'm looking at.
Mm-hmm.
CNN Election Desk, a Pew Research poll, and a YouGov poll. It's a Pew Research study, election study. There's a difference here, and it's important later on. And a YouGov poll. Okay, 3 different sources. So the YouGov poll discusses voters who were Biden 2020 voters, but then didn't vote for Harris in the next election, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who flipped their votes.
This is YouGov.
YouGov, yes, and I can give you the link, so you can take a look at it yourself.
Let me see.
As soon as I can find it. A poll released on Wednesday, January 15th by IME, Policy Project, and conducted by YouGov, found that few in the Democratic Party have been willing to admit Vice President Harris lost votes because of the Biden administration's support of Israel's genocide of Palestinians in Gaza. 29% of voters nationally who voted for Biden in 2020 cast a vote for someone besides Kamala Harris in 2024 said ending Israel's violence in Gaza was the issue affecting their vote choice, with the economy a close second at 24%. When Biden 2020 voters cast a ballot for someone besides Harris in 2024, were asked which one of the following issues was most important in deciding your vote. They elected 29%. Ending Israel's violence in Gaza. Then it goes down there.
Okay, so wait, can I just say something? So yeah, so it says 29% ending Israel's violence in Gaza, 20%, 4% the economy, 12% Medicare, Social Security, 11% immigration, border security, 10% healthcare, 9% abortion policy, 5% don't know. So of this group, the vast majority wasn't Israel and Gaza. But second of all, you're not comparing apples to apples. The question isn't what did this group of voters. Was Israel and Gaza a major issue? It looks like it's, the plurality. It's would you have lost more voters had you taken the opposite stance? That's the question. And this doesn't compare that.
Yeah. I didn't say it did.
Oh,
did
okay.
I say it did?
My bad.
Oh, okay.
My bad.
Okay. I appreciate you.
Yeah, bro.
Okay. So we start with that. And there's a separate question there at the bottom, near the bottom. It says, by more than 3-1 margin, Biden 2020 voters who did not vote for Harris say they would have been more likely to have voted for Harris if she pledged to break from President Biden's policy towards Gaza by promising to withhold additional weapons to Israel. All right, so this is what I'm focused on. This is a very specific policy agenda. Right, not just ending the Israel's violence in Gaza somehow is a very specific policy ask, and 36% said they'd be more likely to vote for her. Right, the ones who did not vote.
54% made no difference.
I'm aware.
Okay.
I'm aware. I saw those numbers too.
Okay.
I'm the one presenting these numbers, so I saw them.
Okay. All right. Just
okay.
Making sure
great.
We got to that too.
Okay. Great. Love you. All right. So, here's what I did. So I went to CNN, their election desk. Now I'll send you the link.
Mm-hmm.
So this is CNN's election results, right? So this is the final results for the election. So you can see, I'm assuming you're putting up for your audience, you can see the map, right?
Yeah.
And so, yes, this was an embarrassing, utterly humiliating defeat for Kamala Harris. However, still, it was close, right?
Yeah, it was close.
It was still quite the close election.
Quite the close.
So I went through the swing states. And I first got so to be illustrative, right? Like for Pennsylvania, swing state, it was 50.4 to 48.6. That's the difference in their vote. For Michigan, 48.7.
Don't tell me you're going to do this thing where you're going to put the percentage, that little percentage, and you're going to try to pretend that. What are you going to do here with this? The numbers.
Well, you're going to find out.
All right.
Pisco, I guarantee you, I wasn't going to stop talking immediately, right? I wasn't going to leave you in suspense, Pisco.
I know,
Pisco.
but please don't tell me you're
Pisco, I'm not going to leave you in
fucking
suspense.
napkin math here. If you
No, napkin math, actual math I've done. I don't know what you use napkin math. I did actual math here.
Okay, all right.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Pisco?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. To be good, I love Pisco.
Do you love
Pisco.
Crystal Ball too?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of Crystal Ball.
I'm also a fan of Crystal Ball.
Yeah, I think she's fantastic. She constantly impresses me, with her analyses, constantly. There's anyway. It's all a show of a small vote difference, right? And in terms of the hard numbers, right? If you click on the map, it'll show you like the hard the numbers between how much she lost by, right? So in Pennsylvania, Trump got 120,000 more votes, Michigan 80,000 more votes, Wisconsin 29,397 more votes, right? These are tiny margins, right? Especially in terms of millions of votes. Okay. So then I looked at a Pew Research survey or study. Okay. In this Pew Research study, let me scroll down. No, sorry, let me send you the link here as well.
Mm-hmm.
Paste. It says that 15% of Biden 2020 voters did not vote in 2024. Okay. So 50% of his voters then disappeared. 5% of Biden 2020 voters voted for Trump in 2024. 1% of Biden 2020 voters voted for other in 2024. So Joe Stein or whoever. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I used those numbers. I combined them. So 6% of Biden's voters in 2020 end up voting for someone else, right? So going back to the CNN numbers, I went to the 2020 map for CNN. So I don't have the link right now on me. But there's a 2020 map for CNN as well. If you just type in election results 2020, it should be the first thing that pops up. I went there, and for all those swing states, I found however many people voted for Biden, right? And then I multiplied that by 0.06. And that came up numbers as well. So for Pennsylvania, 207,595 people who voted for Biden previously didn't vote for him in the next election. Voted for someone else specifically in the next election. And then 168,242 in Michigan, 97,851. So for all of those, just those three right there, those numbers are greater than the margin that Harris lost. But that doesn't get me to where I need to be yet.
Because you're still not counting what she could have lost if she took the other position.
So, can I continue?
Yeah.
Great. Oh, okay. Thank you. I appreciate you. All right. So I got those numbers, right? So those are the numbers of number of lost Biden voters to other voters. And then I also got the number of Biden 2020 voters who became non-voters, right? So that's 15%. And I applied that to those states, right? So now there was 7 swing states altogether. But to win, all she needed was Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. And I also have Arizona included here as well because I have some more data involved with that. I didn't have enough data to do this completely with Georgia, Nevada, and North Carolina. So I'll be concentrating on those 4. Okay. So so for instance, for Pennsylvania, 15% of Biden's voters who became non-voters, 513,988 of those individuals decided to sit this election out, right? Right, for various reasons. So I went down. So there's a section within the Middle East report that talks about Biden 2020 voters who cast a ballot for someone besides Harris who say their top issue was ending Israel's violence in Gaza in key battleground states, right? For Pennsylvania, 19%. Michigan, 32%. Wisconsin, 32%. Arizona, 38%. So that's why I focus on those 4 states. So I multiplied that by the number of voters who were lost, who voted for others, voted for other people, right? And those gave me numbers. So like for Pennsylvania, it's 39,443. Michigan, 53,837. Wisconsin, 31,312. And Arizona, 38,120. Okay. And then
the only where that's the margin beats is Wisconsin, right? And that little napkin math you just did. 31,000 for Wisconsin. The margin is like 120 in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
80.
Yeah. But Pisco.
Yeah.
Do you think I'm done?
Okay, keep going. This is all fucking. This is Scientology. But yes, go ahead.
Hold on. How's it Scientology? Oh, okay. Now we can't use polls. We can't actually do any analysis on numbers. No. It's Scientology, literally to examine polls, right? Examine trends. Look at percentages of people who make responses and then apply them to data. That's Scientology to Pisco, right? Okay. Because Pisco has to undermine this in any way it can. He has to do it. It's very important. It's extremely important. Keep going. Because there can't have been another path, right? Because if there was another path, maybe they might undermine the DNC, right? And Pisco being a fucking shit, Pisco being a fucking shit lib, right? His only job is to defend the DNC. It's not actually to examine the policies, right? It's not examining to do anything. Not examine like what could be a winning coalition. No, it's simply to defend Joe Biden's legacy, to defend Kamala Harris's legacy, right? She ran a fantastic campaign, didn't she, Pisco, right? It was everyone else's
didn't say that.
She lost, wasn't it? Oh, okay, right? Okay, then we can apply logic, right? We can apply logic and apply numbers.
Okay, let's apply logic and numbers. Yeah, keep going.
Oh, okay.
All right. So
okay.
You've applied the these percentages of individuals who were Biden voters in 2020, who didn't vote in 2024, and who claim Gaza is a major issue. You've used the numbers from 2020 as some kind of baseline to get a general ballpark of what's this population, and you're finding some way. I didn't completely follow, but to normalize it for 2024, I think. And you're basically saying that margin is like, some tens of thousands. I
didn't normalize it to 2024. So,
okay.
In the Biden, so it's an undercount, right? Because this is an account for population growth, right? I didn't put in imaginary voters and what they might have done, or new 18-year-olds, right, who are just coming online to voting. I didn't extrapolate as to what they might have wanted or anything. No, I just looked at the old voting data from the previous election, right? Specifically known voters, right? Not imaginary voters, not likely voters, people who actually did vote, but then made a different choice in this election, right? Mm-hmm. Either to vote for Trump or someone else, or to vote for or to not vote at all. Right? These are the two groups. Actual voters with a known history. That's why why it has to be. I'm calling it a Pew study, right? Because Pew didn't do a poll there, right? They didn't hand out a survey. Instead, the methodology was they're doing a longitudinal study, right? So if you look at that link, they're basically doing a longitudinal study. They're following a group of voters for years over different elections, right? And seeing their patterns, which is why in their polling data, they don't actually ask, which is the thing I really wanted them to do because it's been a lot easier for me. They don't ask, hey, why didn't you vote this way or that way, right? Or what caused you to vote? Because they're not actually, they're just looking at voter data. They're matching verified voters, right, with their with data of who voted, right, within the voting rolls, right? They're matching that to making sure this person did vote and then giving the demographics. That's what that study is doing, right? So it's verified voters, and this is their behavior. This is their shifts, okay? All right. Right. So then also, there's the 15% of individuals who didn't vote, right? And I multiply that by 36% in terms of here's a policy agenda that people wanted. 36%. And since I didn't get a breakdown, that this didn't tell me a breakdown of states as to which state supported this policy agenda more, I had to use that one for all four. So I multiplied 518, which is the number of Biden non-voters that were lost in 2024, and got 186, 835 from Michigan, 151 to 418. Sorry, 151,418. So I'm not talking right. I apologize. Wisconsin, 88,066 voters, and Arizona, 90,295 voters. And so the total number of gettable voters, right? People were saying that this is an important policy agenda to them. You can add those two together. In Pennsylvania, 226,278. Michigan, 205,255. Wisconsin, 119,378. And for Arizona, 128,419. In 3 of those states, the 3 that she needed, there was voters who could have been convinced with a different policy agenda, and in fact, more than enough to win, right? Except for Arizona. Arizona, not enough to win there. But that's the ball game, literally right there, and with room to spare. Go ahead.
Okay, 2 things I want to say to that. First is I don't know that many of these voters would have been swayed by a different policy position. I think that they kind of just threw her in the bag with Biden administration. I'm not sure if having a different policy page on her fucking on her website is going to make a difference for some of these people. Whatever.
How else do we tell voters' attitudes? What it was the usual way.
I'm not sure, but I'm not super convinced.
You don't know. You don't know what the usual way.
I'm just saying. Attitudes. Yeah. So I'm just not sure.
How would we do that for any
put that
particular
aside.
policy agenda? How would we do it for no? How would we do that for any particular?
Yeah, you asked them. You asked the people what they.
Oh, you would ask.
Yeah,
them?
yeah. No,
okay.
I understand. I understand that, but like,
all right.
I'm not so
you
sure.
Understand? Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. But you can ask them a bunch of shit, and like you can ask them who cares more about prices or whatever, and they'll say Trump, even though Trump has the fucking dog shit policy. So
absolutely no. It's
voters
not
are fucking.
Whether it matches. It's not. That's unimportant. Whether it matches to reality, right? We're talking about what influences their vote, right? So the thing that influences their vote can be completely imaginary.
Yeah, it feels like a lot of vibes doing a lot of work. Is all I'm saying. So like when you
hold on. So what's vibes, right? Is it surveys done by reputable organizations?
No, I think that's vibes? I think that people are vibes oriented. So yeah, they'll give you different answers and stuff. So I'm just saying, like,
I agree.
The only point I'm making, I think it's a mild, modest point, which is like, I don't know how many of these people are fucking following up to date of her gossip policy, whatever, and they get the vibes that it's Genocide Joe or whatever, and that's enough. But maybe they do. Maybe you're wrong.
When is foreign policy ever near the top of people's concerns? When's it ever?
I mean,
right? What foreign policy issue since the war on terror has gotten this much attention and been on the lips of voters so casually? Which one? Anything else?
I would say it factored more than Ukraine, but Ukraine is another big issue. But anyway, that's the side point. The major point here is like, you're not calculating the people she could have lost if she seemed too radical. That it's possible, you don't seem to consider it, that Trump could outflank her and get some people who are in principle pro-Israel, but don't like Trump for other reasons. And so you're only considering what she had to gain and not what she had to lose. Aren't you missing a whole part of the analysis?
Okay. 1 second. I apologize. All right, let's see. All right, so wait a minute. How would we, to be clear, how would we determine this? How do you think we determine this? Would we ask people? We would ask people.
Take polls of people.
Oh, is that okay? Is that okay? Is that okay to do that?
It's okay to poll.
No,
people.
it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, right?
What's the poll?
Well, but what we do, we can back the napkin math. Is that? what we would be doing?
No, napkin math is like applying a poll to like a 2020 sample set and extrapolating 20 like and trying to get
hold on. So I talked about voters.
Thanks for the raid, Aaron. I just want to say thanks for the raid, Aaron. Appreciate you.
Sure. I applied it to voters who actually voted. Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I did.
Mm-hmm.
Correct? No. I need you to acknowledge this.
Yes, you applied a poll number. You applied poll numbers from IMEU and Pew to people who actually voted in 2020 and 2024.
It wasn't a poll. It wasn't a poll in Pew, though. Correct?
It was a survey. You said it's a survey based on
it's a study.
A survey based on asking people stuff. So it
wasn't
a longitudinal study over a period of time tracking the same people or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was tracking them and saying they're verified voters. So these are people who actually did vote. And then I'm applying trends that were found in another poll, right? So I'm applying only one poll.
The IMEU poll?
Yeah, I'm applying a YouGov poll to a set of voter data, right? Because they didn't have the raw numbers there. I applied it to verified voters. Hold on. So you think that, or do you think that the YouGov poll is not accurate? Is that your claim?
I'm not saying that. I think YouGov is.
Okay, you're not saying that. Okay, great. So then you keep trying to undermine.
I'm saying you're only. No. I'm not trying to undermine the numbers. I'm just suggesting that you're only taking into consideration the amount of voters that Harris could have gained by changing her policy in Gaza, but not the ones that she could have lost by changing her position on Gaza.
Okay. So in that same poll, it talks about people who are less likely to vote for her. 10% are less likely to vote if she had the specific policy agenda that I talked about, pledged to break from President Biden's policy toward Gaza to withhold additional weapons to Israel. Excuse me, I'm sorry, I can't talk. It's very late. Less likely, 10%. 10%. So would you like to go through the math and see if that's enough? Would you like to? Is that what you want to do?
No, what I'm saying is like
no, you don't want to do that.
You need to get a percentage of people who voted.
Sure. Would you like to do that?
Would you like to do that?
Would that convince you? Apply 10%. These are people who are saying they are less likely, the thing you're looking for, less likely to vote for Harris if she follows that policy agenda, right? And it's a policy agenda I put forward in our previous discussion, right? I said, hey, we shouldn't send more weapons to Israel. That's the specific policy agenda I put forward.
So,
right? These are people who are saying they'd be less likely to vote for Kamala Harris if she did that. You want to apply that?
Less likely. So you're saying let's assume people who are less likely to vote for Harris because she's
yes, guys. These are the people you're saying. Who are the people like she could lose, right? These are the people she could lose. The ones who are saying they'd be less likely to vote. What other number would you be looking for?
Okay, yeah. So you're saying show me this 10% of people who voted for Harris who would be less likely to vote for Harris if she took this other position. Where's this poll?
Yeah. This is the same in the IMEU. I mean, they include that as well, right?
Wait. Biden 2020 voters who did not vote for Harris said that they would be less likely. No, but we need the people who voted for Harris, not the people who did not.
Sorry. No, fair enough. I'm sorry. Even among Biden 2020, because they did. So in this, there's two polls. There are a poll of if you look at the top, says Biden 2020 voters who did not vote for Harris, and then Biden 2020 voters who voted for Harris in swing states. I actually have both numbers here. So even among Biden 2020 voters who did vote for Harris in battleground states, voters by a 7-1 margin say that they would have been more enthusiastic in their support of Harris, pledged to break from President Biden's policy toward Gaza by promising to withhold additional weapons to Israel rather than less enthusiastic. So these are people who did vote.
So among Biden, no, but we don't want just
Biden
2020
voters. We want
voters. All voters for Harris in battleground states
who did vote. Yes, who did vote for Harris in battleground states. That's what it says here.
but this is the subset of Biden 2020 plus Harris 2024, right?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
we just want
Biden,
Harris 2024. If you voted for Harris, would you not have voted for Harris if she said to withhold additional weapons to Israel?
So all together, because there are people who maybe or like new voters who came online, and who didn't vote. That's fair.
And this is just about enthusiasm, not about would you have changed your vote.
There's more within the cost tab. There's more detailed things in the cost tabs. But okay, we can look at a 2025 poll. See if we can find that information. Excuse me. So approval. Gallup poll found that disapproval of Israel military actions in Gaza reached 6%, the highest level since 1st November 2023. The same Gallup poll found that only 32% of Americans approve of Israel's military actions. Temporary drop from previous year. Okay. Is there a poll?
I mean, I was looking at the polling from
sure.
And I saw Nate Silver do an analysis here that suggested that Democrats had more exposure by completely abandoning Israel at the time. Now, I don't remember.
Can I see that poll?
It was an analysis by one of these data guys, but, I guess they have... Some of them are Jewish, so who knows what they think. It's a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke. I'm not saying you're
okay. I didn't say anything. Okay. It's a joke. My friend jokes. It's no problem. I just as the anti-Zionist here, right? I'm used to being called anti-Semitic. I don't want my friend to get in trouble. That's it.
No, I was implying that you were not going to trust someone because they're Jewish. That was a joke.
Oh.
But I'm joking. Because of course you would trust a Jewish pollster.
I would trust a Jewish pollster, or I would trust anyone who has shown that they're an honest actor. It wouldn't matter if they're, but if they're shown to be a Zionist, I don't know, maybe not. But
do you think that our government is occupied by Zionists?
Occupied by Zionists? I wouldn't say it that way. I would say that there's a lot of Zionist money that does control our government officials. Absolutely. But occupied, I don't know, that sounds some awful implications. But in terms of like AIPAC money, in terms of billionaire money who are just pro-Zionists that flowed into like the Kamala Harris campaign and just generally flows into the DNC. Absolutely. And in fact, I mean, that's what we saw, right? So I didn't get to talk about this previously, right? I didn't give you examples of like just how unwelcome pro-Palestinian side was, right? But there was, and I'm assuming you followed this, there was that incident at the actual convention where there was that Palestinian American lawmaker who asked to speak to the convention. Are you familiar with this incident?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you would remember that she worked specifically with the Harris campaign to design a message, a speech approved by Kamala Harris's campaign. Right?
Why do you call her Kamala Harris?
Oh, sorry. I do pronounce it wrong. I do. It's Kamala. Sorry. No.
Kamala.
How do you pronounce it? Kamala.
Yeah.
Kamala. Sorry, I get that wrong all the time.
Kamala.
I'm not trying to mispronounce. Isn't that what I just said? I'm sorry. I'll just call her Harris. I'm not trying to mispronounce her name. I do apologize. I don't mean to.
No worries.
That's not like some sort of inside joke or something. But Harris, right?
Yeah.
The Harris campaign, they approved of the speech. And then on the day of, they say, sorry, we don't, we won't be able to fit you in. You don't get to be a part of this.
Yeah, they should have done it, but like this isn't why she lost, dude. Come on, they lost because of inflation and because of fucking Biden memes.
No, first of all, I have numbers, right, where you have none. I have numbers where you have literally none. Where
she
where
lost because of inflation and Biden memes.
Wait a minute.
That's why she lost, because of vibes, inflation, and Biden memes.
Yeah, hold on. But you're only giving me vibes here, right? Where are your numbers? Where are your numbers to prove that, like, having supported Gaza, that she would have lost? Do you have those?
Not offhand, no.
You have anything like that? Okay. Have you seen them? Have you seen those numbers somewhere?
I mean,
Can you find? You found some sort of analysis by Nate Silver at some point in time?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So between you and I, right, who has more evidence for the proposal?
You technically have.
I would have more evidence for my proposal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now.
Yeah. Sure.
I'm not sure
right?
I agree with their methodology.
To be clear, not that it's
methodology, but since you brought some numbers to the show and tell, and I didn't bring any numbers to show and tell, you know.
Sure, and to be fair, you didn't know what we were going to do, so I'm not going to be very clear.
I know, but let me tell you all this.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a lot of work you should just vote for Kamala. I mean, this is a lot of work for you to be like.
No, it's a lot of work. Rather than missing these votes,
just vote for Kamala.
No,
though.
Fuck that.
Yeah, you have your right. Like,
it's easier for the one person
vote for Kamala, though.
rather than convincing or shaming people like me, right, to vote for a shit lib like Kamala, right? Or sorry, how we pronounce Harris. I apologize.
Oh, now it's intentional. Kamala.
Sorry,
just think Kamala, right? Kamala.
That's right. I don't do that on purpose. I'll just try to say Harris.
You're good.
But rather than trying to convince hundreds of thousands of people to have voted for a shit lib, a shit candidate, right? Following a shit president. Rather
the best
than
president
that,
of your lifetime.
Right?
The best president of your lifetime.
Who supported
the best
a genocide.
president of your lifetime.
Who enthusiastically
it must be really hard for you to acknowledge the best president of your lifetime has supported a genocide.
But
that's
what
weird.
Kind of person are you? Sorry, no, hold on. Seriously, Pisco. What kind of human being are you?
What kind of human being are you? No. You abandoned your country. You abandoned your country. You abandoned the Constitution. You didn't vote. You didn't vote. What are you doing? And now the people of Gaza are dying on your fucking name, on your name.
I will abandon any country that supports a genocide.
This is your country. You have an obligation to protect it.
Does not fulfill.
You have an obligation to protect your country, dude.
What about my country's obligation? What about my country's obligation?
Yeah, if you wanted to change that,
it has
you work with the people who aren't trying to put an authoritarian state and deport people because they support fucking Palestine.
Who would be? They didn't. Who supported Palestine and within the administration? Was it Kamala Harris who promised?
Way more than Trump. Trump wants to build a fucking casino in Gaza and kick them all out.
Who was the person who promised to consider the genocide? Was that person?
Yeah,
was she the person who was supporting Gaza?
When the last Gazan is kicked out of their home, you can continue saying
this. Was the person who promised to continue the genocide, right?
Like Trump,
was she the one who was supporting?
Like Trump.
Yes, like Trump.
Kamala is movable. Kamala is advisable. Kamala has. You would have her ear.
No. This is why shit libs like you disgust
You give away your power. You gave away your power.
Like you, shit libs. Hold on. What about the people in power? What about them?
You gave away
your power. Did she give away your power when Kamala Harris didn't push back against Joe Biden? Kamala Harris said, "Okay, great. I'll have no idea."
She was in a tough spot, and you know she was in a tough spot.
No.
She was in a tough spot, and you abandoned her.
She was weak.
You abandoned her when she was in a tough spot.
She was weak.
She was in a bit of a tough spot, and you abandoned her.
I don't know if you're trolling me right now. I'm not you're trying to troll. But I'm telling you,
she was in a tough political spot, and you didn't give her the benefit.
You got to make every excuse. What is shit lit dubs? They do. They make every excuse for the powerful, right?
She was in a tough spot, and you were like, "Fuck you, Harris."
Every single excuse.
Yeah.
Never blame the DNC. Never. Don't blame them for anything, right? Don't put the culpability on them.
I've been doing that these last few weeks, and people know I have been. So
instead, when given the opportunity to discuss the matter, right, the only thing you ever want to discuss is what the voters did, right?
Rather than what the candidate did. No, I can discuss that all.
I know. Because you're a shit lib, and the only thing a shit lib does, their only purpose, only programming, right, is support the DNC. This is why you are morally compromised. I'm
the person who is trying to protect our country from Trump. You're the person who wants
compromised individual.
You want to look on high with folded arms.
Yeah, like you said, you'd vote for a Democratic child rapist. You'd vote for a Democratic child rapist, right? That's what you said. As long as they have a D next to their name, right? I'll vote for the Democratic.
It's so funny you say that when you have Trump on the other side of the ticket. You literally have someone who's been found civilly liable of fucking rape. And
agreed. He's a horrible person. And once again, shift responsibility. Let's talk about Trump. Let's not talk about the Democrats. Always, right? You want to talk about anything.
Well, I mean,
about the Democrats, right?
I live in reality, my friend, and Kamala Harris. So she has a duty that you'll never understand. She has a duty you'll never understand.
She'll never understand. Oh, I guess the responsibility.
You'll never understand that responsibility.
She had to promise to kill those kids. She had to promise to kill those kids.
No, she had to win, and you fucked her over.
She had nothing. And no, if she wanted to win, she would have. Hold on. Putting Gaza aside for
she was in a tough spot, and you let her go.
She was so tough. I know the powerful.
She was in a tough spot.
I'll Pisco, I promise you, after the stream is done, I'll be sure to shed some tears for Kamala and that tough spot. I'll do that later, right? But for now, let's talk about something.
And
else,
you sold us out.
Let's talk. So putting the genocide aside, right? Let's just put the ethnic cleansing that's happening.
Well, you're a party to it because you chose not to prevent it.
Thanks to
you chose not to.
I chose not to vote for a person who promised to continue it. Okay. So putting that aside for a second, right? Like Kamala Harris, rather than something that voters appreciate is
you'll say her name right. I'm so tired of this shit. This is my queen, Kamala. You're gonna say her name right, bruh.
Okay. All right.
Kamala.
Kagala.
See, you disrespect her.
Kagala.
She's
now
only
it is
had
on
one
purpose.
client, and
now
that's been the people.
Her.
That's been the people.
No, I will disrespect her.
We the people.
No, sorry, to be clear. Fuck Kamala Harris. Fuck
Why?
Kamala
she
Harris.
has public service.
Kamala Harris. Fuck Kamala Harris. Hold on. Do you want to even disrespect her more? Because I will, right? Fuck Kamala Harris. Right? She was
you don't speak to a woman like that. You don't speak to a woman like that.
I will absolutely do that. I will.
A woman of color.
Okay, I will absolutely speak. I will speak to another. I'll speak. I will decide. I'll speak to another individual, especially one in power. Yes. Fuck.
She was in a tough spot, bro, and you couldn't give her a solid. You couldn't give her a
solid.
No,
I don't do her.
She picked Tim Walz. She picked a white guy because of you. She picked a white guy, an old white guy, and you. I know you like that. And so she was angling. She was signaling with you. She had to do the blinking, like, please help me. I'm in a really tough spot. Help me. I know I'm gonna do some. Come on, bro. She was signaling hard for your type of person, and you were like, "I'm just gonna close my ears and wait for the virtue signal."
Was my type of person? Hold on. What was my type of person? Was the kind of white guy?
She was going to be different than Biden. She was going to be different than Biden. She
No.
had to say that. She had to say that because she was in a tough spot.
She had to. Okay.
She was in a tough spot.
Okay, this is a tough spot.
And you didn't help her out.
She was a tough spot when she was influenced by an incumbent president. Right, who Kamala Harris wasn't brave enough to stand up against. She was put in a tough spot by the DNC establishment, who she wasn't a woman
by
enough
Joe Biden
to stand it. But no, I'm talking about the rest of the DNC establishment. By Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffrey, the whole gang. Right. She was put in a tough spot by a DNC analysis, which she wasn't woman enough to stand against. She was put in a tough spot by her billionaire backers, right, who were Zionists themselves. Who demanded a certain policy agenda.
And Netanyahu laughed all the way to the White House. Netanyahu laughed all the way to the White House, and now he has Trump pulling out a chair, and you're like, I don't care.
Hold on. Stop trying to distract. Stop trying to distract with Trump. You're desperate. And
it's
it won't
impossible
work
not. So you have to consider Trump. You have to consider Trump.
Pisco. We've known each other for years. I know how you argue, right? And I know how you. In your particular ways of distracting and shifting the conversation.
How am I distracting?
I'm telling you, Pisco, it won't work on me. It's literally impossible. And you should know that about me. You've had enough experience with me that won't work. So no matter how many times you try to shift responsibility, shift it away from Biden and Harris, do your best. I will always bring it back. That's why you've been circling this.
I blame more Biden than Harris. Because I think Biden should not have.
Should not have what?
Should not have run again.
No. But what, should he have supported the genocide?
Yeah. Okay. So like when the genocide started, is actually, I think, up for debate. I'm not so sure. Even genocide scholars, you agree with this, don't you? Even genocide scholars,
87% just said that. Yes,
I understand they say that now, but you agree that the genocide scholars themselves weren't able to establish that it was a genocide, until months from the operation being underway.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Okay. So it takes quite a while to.
Okay. So don't be like, oh, he's like. Just to be clear, to show genocide, you need to have sufficient evidence of genocide. And,
okay, hold on. So I can adjust my statement. No problem, right? When Israel's mass slaughter of Palestinians began, before it was labeled a genocide, right? So you don't have to have that moral weight on your conscience. Don't worry, right? When just the mass slaughter,
my conscience is clean, bro. I know that I was trying my best to prevent the worst of all possible outcomes for the Gazans that you say you care about.
Except for pushing Kamala Harris, right? Well, because Kamala Harris is perfect, right?
There were two choices, Prime. You know it. There were
three choices.
There were two choices.
I picked the third choice. No. Somehow I picked the third choice. Sorry, come on, stop again. You're doing it again. Again, you're desperately trying to move away, right? I try to to put us on a policy agenda, and you desperately try to move away. Okay, but once again, Pisco.
What do you want me to say? Do I agree with what Biden did with Gaza? Pisco, no, I don't agree with that. What do you want?
It literally won't work against me. Great. So knock it off. I won't stop. I literally won't stop. You literally cannot shake.
I think Biden should have had a different policy with Gaza. I said
okay. What would be that policy? Great.
I think he should have stopped arming Israel once Israel was clear that they weren't really engaging in the ceasefire negotiations in good faith.
Great. And so it would be Joe Biden's fault that people who cared about the Gaza mass slaughter, it would be his fault that those people then didn't support him, his campaign, and then by proxy Harris's campaign.
I'm not sure that would have been enough for them. I mean, in terms of their fault,
we're not there yet. We're not there yet. I gave you actual numbers. You have nothing. You haven't provided nothing, right?
No. You gave numbers about something else. You gave numbers about something else.
Yeah. Hold on. I gave you numbers. You've provided me vibes. But your vibes, oh no, of course it's going to work. You've given enough of vibes. That's okay. Okay.
Pisco. All right. So is it Joe Biden's fault? Pisco.
Yeah, is it Joe Biden's fault that he didn't get however many votes that were on the table?
Yeah, it's his fault as well as the people who didn't vote.
Oh, it would be. Sorry, would you say?
There's such thing as mutual, more than one person can be at fault. The people who, Biden has a fault on the policy ground, no doubt, but so do the people who didn't vote for Biden or Harris.
Hold on. But if the reason why they didn't vote was because of this policy agenda, that would be the problem. It would be one thing if you provided them the policy agenda and then they didn't vote.
They both have moral
culpability.
No. You don't get around this. Trump's in power. You don't get around this.
I don't need to get, my friend. I don't need to get around.
Kamala was in a hard spot, and you didn't even help her out.
Trump is in power because Kamala was a shit candidate. Fuck Kamala Harris. Put her in the Hague too. Right?
Put Kamala in the Hague.
Put Kamala in the Hague too, right? They all go.
No. What did Kamala do?
Let them all go. That's just part of administration. What didn't she do? But anyway, whatever. Sorry, I don't mean to distract.
You're radical, man. You're radical.
Sorry, I don't mean to. I am fucking radical. Don't ever forget. Don't ever get it twisted. What kind of person I am? Right? That's the type of person I am. I don't fuck around. Not when it comes to mass slaughter.
Yeah, but you voted for Genocide Joe.
Yeah. But before I knew that he was
he's Zionist? He was always a Zionist.
Yeah, I didn't know he was a Zionist. Yeah, I didn't know. Was that on his campaign? Was that part of his 2020 campaign? I might have missed that.
It's very well known that Joe Biden is one of the most
I had no idea.
Pro-Israel
I had no idea.
Congress people in the history
I'll say, hold on, here. That's where my culpability came from, because I didn't know that he was a Zionist. Maybe I should have done more research. That could have been my fault. I accept that level of responsibility for voting for him in 2020. I do that. That's my fault. Okay. Happy?
So you feel that your conscience isn't clear. Your conscience is clear.
No, it's not clear. I just said I have.
Oh no! Sorry, for 2024, your conscience is clear.
Absolutely, of course. I didn't support a person who supported genocide, right?
What about USAID? Can we talk about that? Do you think that the people who are dying? You think the people who are dying? So what about the USAID? USAID.
I don't give a fuck.
USAID. You don't give a fuck about millions who might be dying because they don't get the aid. You don't care.
I don't care. Hold on.
You only care about Palestinians. Why?
Hold on. Here. Hey.
You only care about Gazans.
I am not. Hold on. No, knock it off.
Why do you only care about Gazans? I just want to know that.
You're not going to shift me. You're not going to shift me. It's not
because you don't care about people. Millions.
You can't distract me. You can't distract me. It's impossible to do that. So you keep trying. You've been trying for hours on end, and it still hasn't worked and will never work. You're going to have to understand that sometime, that you cannot shift me, ever. Okay, so let's actually deal with the question at hand. Great. The candidate, right, has to do their job first and provide a policy that voters can vote for. Correct?
I mean,
can feel comfortable voting for.
When
correct?
You say they have to, what do you mean they have to?
I mean to earn their votes.
Do you mean that like ethically they have to, or do you mean that to earn their vote?
No, I mean like
again, I think we're running into the same thing.
Mechanically,
so no,
pragmatically as part of the campaign.
Okay, pragmatically, it could be useful to have it to get votes, but
to have a policy.
But you're saying to tie it to earning votes.
It would be useful to have a policy. It would be useful to have a policy.
We're going to the same thing, right? Like I just don't have a self-standing notion of owing votes or earning votes. I don't understand that.
Hold on. Sorry, yeah, I know you're having a lot of trouble. I'm trying to drag you along, but it's very difficult for me. But it would be useful to have a policy agenda during your campaign. We could agree on that, right?
Yeah,
it'd be a useful thing.
It's useful.
Rather than not having a policy agenda.
Yeah, I guess it's useful, yeah.
Okay. And would it be even more useful, Pisco? Tell me, would it be more useful, Pisco, to have a policy campaign that that your coalition backs?
Yeah.
Huh?
The majority of the coalition backed Kamala Harris.
Yeah, that majority coalition backs. Okay, great.
They did.
The most useful thing to do that. And so when you have an excited and motivated portion of your coalition that's begging for a specific policy change, would it be incumbent on the candidate
it was mixed.
to address that?
It wasn't clear at that time of the overall position.
It was massively clear.
It wasn't.
Yeah, it has to be unclear for you. It has to be unclear for you, because if it's not, then it puts some responsibility on Kamala and Joe Biden.
But what about the people who are dying because of USAID?
You cannot allow that to happen.
What about the people who are dying because of USAID?
Hold on. What about the group, the motivated group? There was no motivated group behind USAID. That's a shame. That's a shame, because USAID is incredible, and I'm sad. I've heartbroken.
The blood is on your hands, Prime.
Right? Yeah. Except for Kamala Harris for not being a shit candidate. Nothing on her hands. Once again, dude, I'm not gonna let you do it. So stop it. Knock it off. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck
you
about
don't give a fuck about your personal responsibility.
No, hold on. Guy, I'm not going to let you move the conversation. It won't happen. So stop doing it.
Move it from
We'll
what?
have much more. It'll be a much more fruitful conversation if we talk about Joe Biden's and Kamala Harris's culpability. It'll be a much more fruitful conversation.
It sounds like you're trying to move off of your guilty conscience to Kamala Harris and Joe Biden.
Nice try. Once again, won't work. Back to it. So, what I was saying before, USAID didn't actually have a coalition behind it, right? There were Democratic voters who didn't want to go away, but as far as I know, and I don't have any data. You may have data otherwise that I don't have.
I don't have any data. No,
that's okay. I'm not blaming you for that. But as far as I know, I don't know if there's data to say that was ever on anyone's policy priorities. Voters, right? USAID.
What is? It's neither was Gaza.
USAID. No, hold on. I literally provided data that showed that.
You picked specifically a cohort of Democrats
of like known voters who actually voted. A portion of them who did vote in the election, and a portion of them who previously voted but didn't vote in this election, right? So likely voters, the most likely voters being the voters that voted in the previous election, right? When we're doing polling, when we're doing any analysis, we start with those people, right? The people who actually voted in the last election, because they're the most likely to vote.
I don't know why we start with those people, but I don't know. I don't know what you mean. We start. I don't know what you mean. Like when you say we start with them, what do you mean by that? What do you mean? I don't know what you mean. How can I agree?
Okay, sure. Hold on, don't worry. I'll draw it out for you because you're being utterly pedantic as usual.
I don't know what you mean when you say we start with them. I know. What do you mean we start with them?
Okay,
we start what with them?
Don't worry. I'll let you know. So what I meant to say is that, like, when we're doing any analysis, right, the groups that we look to, right, the primary groups that we look to are the likely voters, right? And then on top of that, there might be other voters that we look for, right? Other voters like what new voters are coming along, like newly registered voters, right? Like what are their policy agenda? We look at
voters and we
I'm sorry, within surveys, within election analysis.
In surveys, we look at likely voters. I don't know if we do one over the other or new voters versus old voters.
Hold on. We weigh these things. Hold on. You don't understand. Hold on, don't worry. I'll explain to you.
Yeah.
We weigh these things. We assume that people who vote, who have established a pattern, who previously voted, and the previous election will most likely vote in the next election. Correct?
I'm not sure. A lot of those people are probably independents who they shift. I don't know. Do we assume that they say the same as a baseline? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know what the assumption is.
No. Okay, you don't know. Okay, so you don't understand election analysis. So that's fine. That's okay. So I'll explain it to you. If you don't understand these things, that's okay. I'll explain it. Yeah, when we're like before an election, when we're doing these assumptions or analyses, right? The voters that we weigh the most, the ones who are
weigh the most.
Yeah, we weight them the most within our analyses, right? Are voters who previously voted. Certainly not people who have no history of voting, right?
Okay.
Like I wouldn't. So hold on, Pisco. We have two 60-year-olds, right? One 60-year-old has voted the entire time, right? For every opportunity they could vote, they did vote.
Okay.
And then we have another 60-year-old who's never voted, right? But it was an upcoming election, and they are registered, right? Which one is more likely to vote, Pisco?
I'm sure the one with the track record.
The one with the track record, right? Okay. Now, when we survey, we can survey all of them. We can survey as individuals. We can survey birthday, and they're both going to have a policy agenda, right? They have a policy agenda they're excited for.
Who has a policy agenda?
And I said both of them that they're excited for.
Which both? Both the voter, the 60-year-old,
both the voters.
The 60-year-old voter who has a track record and one who doesn't they both have policy platforms they're excited about.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're both saying that they will vote in the next election, right? So we're surveying them, and they're both saying they will vote in the next election. That's issues they're excited for. So we can include them both, but when we're going to put
include them both in what?
A survey.
Okay, we include them both in a survey. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but which one we would if they both say that they're going to vote right in the next election, which one will we say is still likely to do it?
I'm not sure what standard methodology is on identifying likely voters.
It would be the ones that voted previously. I'm sorry, you don't understand.
I'm saying I don't.
It would be the one.
I don't know what the standard method.
I'm explaining to you.
Okay, so
I'm explaining it to you.
For likely voter models, we go into their track record of history of voting. I don't know that. You're telling me this. Okay, cool.
Okay, great. All right. If you didn't know that, if you honestly didn't know that, then fine.
Okay.
Sorry. I take back my condescending. If you didn't know that, sorry. Let me rephrase. I apologize for the condescending manner. If you literally didn't.
I don't know what like. I understand that there's likely voter models. I don't know what are the inputs into that.
Okay, part of that would be voting history. Absolutely.
Okay.
Right? Okay, great. So what I looked at for my analysis, I did personally, and I walked you through, is I looked at all those likely voters, the ones who voted in the previous election, right, the 2020 election, because they would be the most likely to vote, right? And if they fell off, right, well, then we would want to look at why. If you had previously established a pattern and broken that pattern, well, then why would that be the case?
Yeah, I understand what you've done. You've said, you've asked a bunch of people why they sat out the election or what.
I haven't asked it. Sorry, I'm channeling Pisco. I apologize for interrupting. Go ahead.
You're asking them, you being the YouGov, is sampling voters who voted in 2020 for Biden and didn't vote for Harris, and they're asking them why.
And ones that voted for Biden and voted for Harris. There's two separate.
Yeah, so I don't know how they're weighing that sample. I'm not sure, but fine. Let's assume that they're weighting it in a way that's like roughly accurate. And they ask, which of the following issues was most important in deciding your vote? And 29% is ending Israel's violence in Gaza. And
to be clear, I'm not concerned about like how they plug them into any sort of mathematical formula. I'm saying that when anyone is starting an analysis, like I was starting my own analysis, right, you will look to likely voters. Like that's what I'm concerned about, not necessarily how YouGov or Pew or any other pollsters like what algorithm they use. I'm saying that the best sample to use would be a likely voter because they already established a pattern. That makes sense. Okay. I hope you understand the difference. I'm not sure if you do.
Yeah, I don't know that this is a likely voter model. This is like looking at actual voters, right? It's not likely voters.
Yeah, they're even better. They're actual voters. Yes.
Well, then why did you say that they're likely voters? I felt like we were looking at people who actually did vote, and in the case of 2024, some of which who didn't vote. So I don't know why I'm having trouble.
Yeah, so it's even better because they're actual voters.
Yeah, it's a sample.
No, because you were
it's a sample of voters.
Yeah. Sorry. So what's your objection? I don't know what's your objection.
I'm not sure. Like you're trying to emphasize how important it is that we're distinguishing likely voters from something, and I just don't understand. Is this a sample of likely voters, or is it a sample of actual voters? And so
these are a sample of actual voters.
Okay, so then why were you stressing likely voters?
Sorry, I don't actually remember how we got to this part of the conversation. I'm sorry, I don't remember what the thing.
I feel like we're in time is a flat circle, and I'm not sure what I'm talking about.
I actually don't know how we got to this part of the conversation. I think I asked you about like likely voters.
You're
and,
like, we start with likely voters, and I'm like, I don't know what. Yeah. But is this about likely voters or people who voted?
I made a comment. I made a comment about likely, like how you start the analyses. Sorry. And then you seemed like you didn't understand it, which apparently you didn't understand it, and then I explained it to you. That's how we got here.
So you're saying that that's not relevant to what we're talking about?
Because I have even better voters. I have actual voters. I have actual voters that have applied to.
Okay.
There are people with a track record of voting. Which would be they're likely voters. Sorry, they are, all of them fall in the category of likely voters because they voted by 2020. So that's why it's still relevant to use the cohort that didn't vote for him in 2024 because they're likely.
And you're saying so you're getting 29% of so you're getting the total sample of Biden voters in 2020. How are you extrapolating that to 2024? How are you getting the percentages? Oh, from the other survey that said 6%.
6% voted for Trump or other.
So you're doing
15%.
You're doing 6% of the 2024
actual
numbers,
voters,
right?
2020 numbers. No, not the 2024 numbers. The 2020 numbers, because those are the numbers. So 6% of Biden's 2020 cohort, right? Those actual voters, they didn't come back. They voted for someone else. 15% of his actual voters. So I applied the polling, right? The generalized polling to those.
Can you just send me your methodology? I'm sorry. You should just do a write-up and send it to me, and then we can review it. And we can do this. We can do a part 2 where I take some time to look at it. Okay.
Okay.
Can we get to one last topic before we end because it's getting a little late for me?
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Fair enough.
This was great.
I tuckered you out.
You did tucker me out. Okay. You know what you did? You made me tired. So let's talk about the future. So you've already said, given the choice right now, you wouldn't substitute Harrison for Trump at the moment, right?
Yeah.
You wouldn't, right?
Yes.
Yes, you wouldn't. Or yes, you would.
Sorry.
If you could press a button, I'm like, all right, Trump, you fucked up. Let's put in Harris.
I only if she changed her mind on the. Oh, sorry. If I could press a button. No. Yeah. Only if she is still 2024, Kamala Harris, who is a genocide supporter, then no.
I mean, you wouldn't switch him in for Biden, certainly. You wouldn't switch Biden in, right?
No, he loves dead Palestinian babies.
Even given the USAID thing?
No.
Okay. Even given everything with the country?
You want to keep going down the list? You can keep going down the list.
So,
I've stated my answer. What's your future question?
So we're pretty fucked, huh? Because if we can't get you to substitute in right now? Like, it feels like you really don't care about the death all across the world.
Sorry, don't try to do that.
Why?
Try to do that. You don't care about the deaths, right? Because it does. You don't care about a genocide. Your moral your minimal moral threshold doesn't include genocide. So don't try to take some sort of moral high horse of me, right? You literally, genocide doesn't matter in your moral calculation. That's the type of person you are.
And you don't
so
care
don't try
about
that. Talk about I don't care. Don't say that I don't care
who are
about these individuals.
dying of
nice
diseases
try.
across
it
the
won't
world.
Ever work for me. It won't ever work
your
for me.
threshold
I'm
doesn't
sorry.
include.
It will never. It will literally. It's impossible to shame me. It's impossible to shame me. So you've been trying for all these hours, right? I don't know why you're trying again. Now, I wanted to ask me a question about the future.
Yeah, the future.
Go ahead.
So in the
but
future, so in the future, if Josh Shapiro,
hold on.
If Josh Shapiro wins the nomination,
if Josh, fuck Josh Shapiro. I won't vote for Josh Shapiro either. So I was going to anticipate
JD
your
Vance.
question. If Josh Shapiro, right, genocide supporting Josh Shapiro is in office, guess what? The Democrats failed again, and I won't be voting for them. Simple as that. I don't know why you had to ask me that question, right? You knew the answer. Right, so don't ask me a dumbass question. You already knew the answer, right? But you want to try to once again shift what you've always been doing this entire time. Shift the blame, right, off of Josh Shapiro, right, and how what a dog shit individual he is, right? How he's trying to intimidate the college students in Pennsylvania, right? How he's trying to crush them, specifically sitting on the University of Pennsylvania's Board of Trustees meetings, right? Because he had to crack down personally on any dissent. Rather than examining that, right?
Why do you
Once again,
only care
Pisco,
about
a shitlib.
Can I ask you?
No, you can't. No, you can't ask you something like that.
Why do you only care about genocide?
Why does a person only care about genocide?
No, I'm
why would a person only care about the Holocaust? Hey, why would that be like?
Well, I don't think you should. I don't think
deciding factor.
No, I didn't say you shouldn't consider it. I'm asking, why do you? Only,
No.
There are a lot of bad things that are genocide.
No, I hear you. No. I'm not. I didn't say anything about
starvation.
I'm talking about. Yeah. Why would a person only care about the Holocaust?
Yeah, it would be wrong to only care about the Holocaust, right? Agreed.
No.
No, it wouldn't be wrong to only care about the Holocaust and not like other bad things that aren't the Holocaust, virus and ecological shit and our democracy. It would be correct to only care about genocide.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. Let me rephrase this. I care about all those things. I follow those things. I talk about all this.
So why don't you weigh all the other bad stuff that aren't genocide? Of course.
Hold on. I care about all of those things, right? And it kills me that
someone says base Zionist Prime because you say you only care about the Holocaust. Well, the Palestinian genocide isn't the Holocaust. What
point were you trying to make just then? What was your point?
No, come on.
What was your
Don't
point?
do this.
No, what was your point?
Prime,
no, what was the point were you trying to make just then? What was your point?
I'm trying to. It was a funny little fucking poke. It was a funny little poke that someone put up. A little poke. It's just a little poke. Okay. You're calling me shitlib. It's a funny little poke. I think you should care about more things than just genocide. You should definitely care about genocide.
I care about all those things. You've heard me talk about all those things, correct? Right?
Yes.
We talked for many years. We had very long discussions. I have a very long policy agenda, correct?
Correct. But it sounds like it all goes out the window for genocide.
Genocide is a minimal threshold. And then from there, I can judge a candidate, right? On all the other things that they bring to the table. But the minimal threshold, one, no child rape, right? Don't child rape. That's something for me, not for you. You're okay with child rape. We've established that. For me, it's child rape and genocide, right? So yes, I've taken the extraordinary hot take. Prime doesn't want to vote for a person who either or child rapes and genocides, right?
So if you knew, so this is a question for you.
If I had a crystal ball, yeah, sure.
Hang on. So
crystal ball me.
If you had a crystal ball,
and that I don't have,
and the choice
draw
was
a useless metaphor, please. Go ahead.
And the choice was to vote for someone who was a
useless hypothetical
child rapist.
Child rapist, yes, or genocide,
but would stop the genocide.
Or maybe another person with genocide.
So, hang on, just answer.
Yeah, let's do that.
So
another
if the choice,
crystal ball.
So if you could vote for a child rapist, but you know he would stop the genocide.
Pointless. That doesn't exist. Right? Yeah. So we have another hypothetical.
Don't you think it's a little bit
another hypothetical?
Yeah.
That doesn't actually exist. See, that's the problem with these. I think hypotheticals can be quite useful, right? Except when they aren't. When they obscure, or when they are so removed from reality that they're useless. So no, I don't have a crystal ball, right? I don't have any of that. I can't see into the future. I wish I could. So that doesn't factor into
I don't
my
practice Santeria. I ain't
got
crystal ball.
What I look at is the candidates' statements, right? When they tell me they're going to promise to continue the genocide, I believe them. Rather than saying that, once again, a person who wasn't woman enough to stand up against Joe Biden, wasn't woman enough to stand against the DNC, wasn't woman enough to stand against a billionaire.
She was going to save this country. She was going to save this country. She was going to save the country. And she was having a hard time and you didn't help her out.
I know. You have to interrupt because we can't talk about Kamala Harris. It's very important, right? You can't discuss her culpability, right? Who's going to be beholden to those billionaires, right? That after she won the election, right? Well, she would of course change her mind. She would buck all those. All of a sudden, she proved she had a backbone. All of a sudden, she would have a crystal ball. Where her entire previous her entire record as a public servant, she's shown that she doesn't have one, right? Her entire career on the national stage, she's shown that she doesn't have one. That when push came to shove, she immediately retreated, right? But this individual will then all of a sudden, after the election happened, right, she'll decide, oh yes, now I have moral principle. No, fuck her.
She was in a tough spot and you didn't help her, man.
Yeah, she was a tough spot. Oh my God. Don't worry. I'll shed tears afterwards, Pisco. I'll shed tears for the powerful. Okay, I'll do that for you.
She was in a rough spot.
I know.
And you wouldn't help
think
her,
of Kamala.
Why didn't you help her? She was in a tough spot.
Why didn't everyone think of Kamala? Why didn't anyone think of the vice president? Oh God. You know what? She was in a tough spot. Not the Gazans.
You kind of wipe your ass with the Gazans. You wipe your ass with the Gazans because you don't want to help the Gazans by voting for someone who's going to help the Gazans.
Kamala Harris, the Gazans.
So you wipe your ass with the Gazans.
Yeah, sure. No, I wipe my ass with Kamala Harris. I'll do it every day. Kamala Harris.
No, the Gazans. You wipe your ass with the Gazans.
Kamala has a less agency.
She was in a tough spot, and you could have helped her.
Who had more agency? The Gazans being bombed or Kamala Harris? Which one? Which one had more agency?
I mean, they both did not have a ton of agency. The vice president didn't really have much agency.
No, she didn't have that much agency. She couldn't use a bully pulpit. She couldn't.
Okay, listen.
You're a bullshitter. You're a bullshitter, shit.
The vice president's bully pulpit. I've heard of, and even I've made some of these arguments like Biden should have signaled like he gave a shit more. But the vice president's bully pulpit to change Joe Biden's Israel policy.
Literally, Joe Biden had to move Obama's timeline. Joe Biden came out for gay marriage, right? Ahead of the White House, and the White House had to scramble and like, okay, we have to change our plans. They got really fucking mad at him, right? Really upset about idiot Joe Biden, and he was an idiot, and then they should have iced him out. But anyway, they got really upset because he came out on national TV and he said, "I'm for gay marriage," and Obama hadn't done that, right? It was a big fucking problem for them. But and they had to change their fucking plans. Why? Because the vice
Kamala Harris should have come out and said,
"Of course, matter."
Genocide Joe is my president, and he's in part of a genocide.
She doesn't have to phrase it like that.
What should she say? What should she say? She should say.
I understand that.
She has to,
I've already done that for you. I won't do it again.
She has to say,
you can rewind.
I'm resigning.
Rewind the VOD.
I'm resigning my.
Rewind the VOD.
I'm resigning. I can't be a party to a genocide.
Rewind the VOD, and I made very clear. I gave a speech for her. I already did that.
Ms. Harris,
so rewind the VOD.
Why didn't you tell us this was a genocide before?
You're a shit lib. And all you can do is shill for power.
Shill for power?
Shill for power. You heard me.
How am I shilling for power?
Doing anything you can. Absolutely anything in your ability, right? To avoid resting the ultimate culpability on the people who actually have power. The actual leaders, right?
I've criticized Biden and Harris plenty. My audience has seen it.
Yeah. But she was a tough spot, though. Not too hard. Because
she was in a tough spot and you wouldn't help her
She was in a tough spot.
And you didn't help her.
Why didn't I think of Kamala Harris?
Yeah, why didn't you?
Hold on. Again, who had more agency? Kamala Harris or the Gazans?
Okay. She had more agency. So what?
She had more agency. She had more agency. Oh, okay. Would she have more power too?
I don't know. Like
agency and
does
power.
the amount of agency change whether or not you should help her out?
Did she have more power? Did she have more power
than the Gazans overall?
Than the Gazans being dying. Than the Gazans being bombed.
The Gazans who are dying. I guess Kamala Harris has more power than the Gazans who are dying.
Yeah. Who are being shot at, who are being terrorized, right?
Yeah, but you wipe your ass with them because you're not wanting to help them.
Yeah. Again, won't work. So I toss your comment away. So I mean, back to
you're wiping your ass
Kamala Harris had more power than those individuals, right?
Oh yeah, sure.
But the person we should be thinking about, the person Pisco demands that you think about. You say Kamala Harris was in a tough spot. Why didn't you think about her?
Yeah, why did you think about her?
Yeah, it won't ever work. Pisco.
I mean, so you wouldn't even vote for Josh Shapiro?
Pisco, yeah, because he do this. One second. Let me rephrase that. If let's say the genocide was still happening, right? Ethnic cleansing was still happening, and he promised to continue that, then yes. If he was simply just a Zionist, maybe I would still.
Okay, so did the Vanguard and Kyle Kalinske do the wrong thing when they voted for Kamala Harris?
Sure. Yeah, that'd be like if that's not. I mean, like if they're political. Yeah, I mean, I disagree with them. If they don't have minimal threshold,
are they pro-genocide?
That's not genocide.
They voted for Kamala.
They're genocide. They're clearly.
Hassan Piker voted for Kamala Harris. Do you condemn him for voting for genocide?
No, he's been advocating against the genocide. He's been.
But he voted for genocide. He voted for someone.
Yeah, but unlike you, he's been a strong advocate.
So why didn't you follow what Hassan Piker did?
Because I have my own brain. Unlike Kamala Harris, right, who doesn't, right? Kamala Harris is the one who follows blindly. Don't forget that, right? No daylight kid, right? She doesn't. She follows blindly. Not me. I'm not shamed by others. So
I know, but Hassan and the Vanguard voted for Kamala.
Pisco, why would you think that Kamala's? Why would you think that Hamasla? Why would you think? What's his face? Fuck, the streamer.
Hassan Piker.
Hassan.
He voted for Kamala.
Why would you think Hassan would be my leader? My thought leader? Why would I follow him? I'm not a lemming. I'm not a shit lib. Shit libs like you get your marching orders.
Is Hassan Piker a shit lib? He made the same choice I did.
No.
Hassan Piker made the same choice I did, and you're coming after me, but not him.
You're on. But Hassan doesn't spend the entire time desperately obfuscating for Kamala Harris. Right now, I disagree with him, and if I have him in front of me, I'd have say
you voted for genocide.
But the Hassan. Yes, I would say Hassan voted for genocide because Hassan voted for genocide. However, the shape of my argument would be very different because he was not shit like you.
This is why we need chorus. This is why we need chorus.
Who's doing everything he can to obfuscate. Do everything he can to shift blame. Right? Who says, "Why don't you think of Kamala Harris? She was in a tough spot." Try it again. Hey, you're wiping your ass with the Gazans, Prime. Try it again. See if it'll work. Well,
what is this feeling so sudden and new? What? Hey, these are singing tactics. Come on. I'm doing my show tunes.
Okay.
What's up? I mean, we're kind of circling. Okay. We're circling. I mean,
yeah, I know because you've been this entire time you've been trying to obfuscate.
I'm not trying to obfuscate. I think they're separate things.
The entire time you've been trying to do that. Literally the entire time. Always shift blame from Kamala Harris. Always shift blame from the powerful. I don't have to say it again. I mean, I've said it like dozens of times by now. But like, I don't know. My feelings have been made clear, but you seem to be confused every time, which is why you keep doing the same thing over and over.
Kamala was in a tough spot. You didn't help her out.
She was in a tough spot. Think of the powerful. I know.
You wiped your ass with the Gazans.
Think of the powerful. Think of the powerful.
No one mourns the wicked.
I don't know show tunes. I'm sorry.
You don't do it? Come on. You don't do this?
Know show tunes.
All right. Next time Kamala's in a rough spot, I just appreciate that you help her out.
Think of Kamala. Yeah, think of Kamala. I'll think of the most powerful people in this situation, rather than the people that are promising to brutalize. I'll think of them too. I'll think of the oppressed.
Why do you suck Trump's dick?
You're a shit lib. You're a shit lib.
You're something.
Don't worry. It won't work on me. Again, you won't distract me. You're a fucking shit lib.
I mean, I'm seeing we're in hell right now because of you.
You're a shit lib who thinks of the oppressor rather than the oppressed. Don't worry. You can't distract me. It won't happen. Never. You can't seem to learn that lesson. Don't worry. I'll beat it to you. You can't do it. It's impossible. So shit lib. Like, try to do yourself a favor instead of going to bat for the people, the most agency, the most powerful. Think about the people who are downtrodden. Try that.
Well, you don't do that because you wipe your ass with the Godsons.
Consider that.
You wipe your ass with the Godsons because
once again, it won't work.
You're wiping your ass.
It won't work. It won't work. It can't work. It can't work against.
I'm just saying, Kamala was in a rough spot.
I know. She was okay. All right, we're done it. The audience doesn't care anymore. I'm sure the audience doesn't care anymore.
They care about this.
I'm sure they stopped caring like 20 minutes ago. I'm sure they 30 minutes ago. We've been doing this for.
Help a sister out. Help her out. What the fuck is wrong with you?
No, I'll never support the oppressor. I won't be supporting the oppressor.
So you do this oppressor, oppressee, social Marxism, cultural Marxism?
Minimum. Yeah, I look at the people who have power,
oppressor,
and the who have the levers to brutalize people, right? And then in my analysis, those are the folks in my analysis, not the people who are being brutalized, right? When I lay down culpability, yes, it's the most powerful in that situation. That's how I do it, right? And the fact and the law, right? We think about the people who in a situation who have the most power to change the situation, not the people who have the least power to change the situation, right? When we're looking at a complex situation, the person who has the most powerful.
You're gonna be in line at Sikot next to me. We're both fucking like with our shaved heads and in line at Sikot, and you're gonna be like, still would have voted third party.
Liberals like you. No, this is important. This is what I'm saying. Liberals like you are exactly the handmaidens to fascism, right? Because, all right, so we've stayed on because of me, we stayed on the genocide the entire time, right?
Yeah.
But there are other policy agendas, right? That policy failures that led us to this point. Liberals like you who do everything to protect the.
Right? The powerful?
Rather than action. Yes, you. Yes, that's what you've been doing. I've been saying that for fucking an hour already, right? Don't act like you're fucking surprised. I don't know why you surprise voice right now. I've said it literally dozens and dozens of times, maybe hundreds of this.
I don't think I support the powerful. I support the downtrodden. I support. I went on. Hang on a second. I went on Tim Pool to talk about Kilmar Garcia, Mahmoud Khalil. I've supported people, who are Guatemalan children being deported without due process. I mean, I think it's a little bit much. It's a little much for you to say I protect all the powerful.
Yeah, you protect the powerful that you like. Of course, there's powerful that you don't like, and powerful like. Of course, you have preferences in the powerful, but you protect the powerful. Right, so you protect the DNC powerful, and you don't expect anything.
Is Bernie Sanders powerful? Is Mahmoud Khalil powerful? I mean, sorry, is Zoran Mamdani powerful? So you protect the powerful.
How would that be? How would I protect the powerful?
Because you're protecting Bernie Sanders, and so that's the powerful. You protect Krista Ball. She's powerful.
How am I protecting Bernie Sanders?
Because you give her cover, just like I give cover to Kamala Harris.
How did I give them cover? For bad behavior? How did I do that?
Oh, that's the only thing? It's for bad behavior? You have to give them cover?
What else would we be talking about? When we're talking about holding people accountable, we don't hold them accountable for the good things, right? We're talking about accountability for the bad things. Obviously, Pisco, like you don't fucking understand, right? So when you see me getting annoyed and frustrated with you, this is why, because you're pretending.
I don't protect Biden for the bad stuff.
Pisco, I know you have a high. Pisco, I know you have a high IQ.
I criticize Biden for the bad stuff. Though.
I have this, so the audience may not understand this now, right? But I have a very high opinion of my friend Pisco.
Yeah, likewise. Right? I like you
I have a very high opinion of my friend Pisco. I think my friend Pisco has a very high IQ. I think he's extremely eloquent. I think that he is an excellent critical thinker.
I like you a lot too. I think you're a great critical thinker. I just don't know why you didn't help out a sister. Why didn't you help her out? She was in a tough spot. She was in a tough spot. You wouldn't fucking help her out.
And he constantly impresses me when he like puts that critical analysis to work, right? But there's blind spots, right? And the blind spots are for the powerful, clearly, as we've seen here, right? As this desperate a game to run cover. Right? And so now he's trying to draw false equivalency. So when I say it's simple thing, he makes an accusation of me, right? Saying, oh, Prime, you must have been doing the same thing, right? Once again, trying to shift responsibility once again, right? Well, you're doing the same thing as I'm doing, right? You're running cover for Bernie Sanders for Kamala Harris. I'll say, okay. Well, how am I doing that, right?
Well, how am I running cover for Biden when I criticize Biden and
for
I
the genocide? And doing everything you can to shift the blame to the voters. Hold on. You made an accusation, so I want you to back it up.
Back it up. I take cover to
how am I running cover for Bernie Sanders?
Because Bernie does some bad things, right? You agree?
It's bad behavior. What am I running? What haven't I criticized Bernie over?
Okay, what haven't I criticized Biden over?
No. Yeah, you made the accusation. What haven't I criticized?
Yeah, what haven't I criticized Biden over?
Hold on, stop it. You made that.
Bernie's a millionaire. He hasn't donated half of his money to charity, so that's bad. Bernie doesn't support gun control.
And I haven't criticized him for that?
I haven't criticized Biden for stuff?
In the critical juncture. The critical juncture being the election, right? And assigning blame. You assign the blame on the people of the least power.
Oh, I assign Biden the most blame in that sense.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do. I've been on record saying that.
You just say that, but literally this entire time, the focus has been on the voters.
You and I are having a conversation, and you're in denial that you are culpable.
Yeah, that's nice. So the entire time.
If I was talking to Genocide Joe, I would tell him this.
And it's like, and getting it out of you is like pulling teeth.
No,
right?
it's not. Dude, you're so delusional. You know how many fucking followers I've lost because I was talking shit about Joe Biden?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't believe it. Oh,
you don't believe
sure.
it? Ask my audience. Hey, was I talking about shit about Joe Biden? You guys were all freaking out like a bunch of little fucks. Come on, be real. I have. And so to pretend that I've just been like withholding criticism of Biden, it's so laughable. No one believes it. It's something I've been highly criticized for. It's like the discourse recently is that I was criticizing of him. Yeah.
Great. So, then there's no reason to shift blame to voters, right? We talk about the person.
No, when you and I have a conversation and you're hiding a guilty conscience.
Who created the situation? No, I don't have a guilty conscience. Stop trying to put words in my mouth.
You should.
It literally won't happen. You can't break my vote. It won't happen. So the person who created the situation is the person with the and the person who supported that situation that was created, being Kamala Harris, right? They're the ones with the culpability.
And you too.
No.
That's a little arrogant, don't you think?
No.
Especially when there was someone
who
needed your help. Someone needed your help.
It's arrogant for you to assume that I owe her a fucking thing. I don't owe her anything. Fuck Kamala Harris.
She loves you.
Fuck Joe Biden. Fuck Genocide Joe. I don't love her. She's a horrible individual. She literally stands for nothing.
So which Democrat would you support? I mean, would you support Tim Walz?
I don't know. I don't know his policies
on Gaza.
Here. I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know. If you can educate me on this. But did he? What I think he said, and I'm not sure. I'm not positive on this. I think he said like we need a change in policy. It was like a very vague, right? Like we need to try a new direction.
Yeah, that was a signal to you, Prime. That was a signal to you, Prime, that change was coming.
No, this was after. No, this was after the election.
No. Kamala was trying to signal to you.
No, she didn't try to signal to me.
She was winking to you.
She didn't try to signal to me.
She was winking to you.
When she tossed,
and you let her go.
When she talked down, hold on. When she talked down, right, when there was protesters, right, who came up, anti-Gaza protest.
That was a wink. That was a wink.
Anti-Israel. when she girl boss those protesters and say like, "Oh, I'm talking now," right? And shut them wink. Down. When she
what did she do? What did she do?
No, fuck you.
Yeah, you guys get to run everything. You get to fucking disrupt and be the leader of the country. This is why I'm telling you. This is why I'm telling you to go fuck yourself. Because you're trolling. Pretending like you're not trolling, right? How am I trolling?
Like you're this conversation seriously, right?
I am taking it seriously.
You're saying no, you're not.
How am I not? No.
Right?
I'm not.
Because
I do think that she was giving winks that she was going to change policies.
No,
yes, I think so.
One. Was it a wink when she denied that Palestinian American lawmaker from being able to speak at the convention center? Was that a wink?
No, that was not a wink.
Not a wink. Okay. Hey, in Michigan, right? A state that she very much needed. There was an individual, a Muslim. He was he was a thought leader in the Muslim community. He was like sort of community leader.
A Muslim thought leader.
He was a hoe. Yes, indeed. But anyway,
what did he do?
Yeah, let me explain. He was a community leader, and he took a very neutral stance to Kamala. He was like, "I'm very open. I'm getting a lot of questions from my community, right? They're like, I don't know if she's going to support, stopping Israel. I don't know what's going to happen, right?" And so, but he said, "I came to listen." He showed up at a campaign event in Michigan, and in this campaign event, you had to like sign in, basically, like write your name on a book, right? Sign in, and then go sit down. That's what he did. There to listen to the Harris campaign. When they found his Muslim name, they kicked him out. They kicked this Muslim guy out. Just threw him out. Had him escorted out by the police. This is on video. Him getting escorted out of the event.
I condemn it.
I didn't say you didn't condemn.
I condemn it.
Right? Sure, fair.
Kamala doesn't stand for that.
I'm saying, was that why doesn't Kamala stand for that? Kamala had given what positive. Let me ask you this: what positive signals did she send?
She said
to people who cared about this particular issue.
She basically signaled that I'm going to have my own presidency. I have my own vision.
How did she do that? Don't.
She said. I don't have the quote on it. I don't have the quote on hand. I don't want to right now.
I'll wait.
She said it like I'm my own person. I'm going to have my own presidency. Harris.
Okay.
My own presidency.
I'll wait. I guess I'll entertain all that's why you're doing this. So we don't have dead air. But once again, my friend and I, right? My friend Pisco and I, we get raucous, but like I do actually deeply appreciate my friend Pisco. I can separate my policy disagreements with him as a person. I actually really like him. I really always enjoyed our time together. Even when we fought, from pretty long. This isn't even the longest most protracted battle we've had.
No.
Yeah, we've gone even longer in fights before. But despite that, I think he's quite great. If you haven't already, consider donating to his channel. Right? Send him a super chat. You can if you're on YouTube right now. I'll answer your super chat if you want to yell at me as well. Then send him a super chat, and I will answer anything that you like from me. I do support my friend, and I want all the best for him.
When she picked Tim Walz and when she said, "I offer a new generation of leadership, I'm not Joe Biden," I think she's signaling that she'd be different.
She says, "I'm not Joe Biden."
Yeah.
And well, okay. Followed by what in terms of policy?
It's not specific, but
no, not specific.
Yeah, she's winking.
She said.
That's a wink.
Okay. Was she informed?
She needed help, and you wouldn't give her a helping hand.
Audience members, what we waited for, the thing that we just waited for.
I just Googled for like 10 seconds.
What we just waited for was for Pisco to find a quote where she informed you, in case you were confused.
It was a wink.
That Kamala Harris
wasn't a wink.
A 70-plus-year-old white man.
Yeah, that's a wink. That's a wink.
We didn't know. That's a wink, guys. That's a wink. Hey, I'm not a 70-plus-year-old white man.
It's a wink.
That's the wink?
It's a wink.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry. See, I wasn't as smart as my man Pisco. He's a lawyer. I wasn't smart as him to decode that. To mean, she's against the genocide. Oh, okay. Okay, great. Amazing Pisco. Amazing evidence.
Why don't you care about starving children in Africa?
Amazing.
Why don't you care about
evidence
starving
counselor.
children in Africa?
Amazing evidence, counselor.
Why don't you care about starving children in Africa?
Is this the amount of evidence bring to trial? Huh?
Why don't you care about the starving children in Africa?
I mean, yes, Your Honor. He had a bloody knife in his hand. But you know what? Red isn't his favorite color. It's blue. Did you know that? Did you?
I know, but you don't care about the starving children in Africa. Did you take into account
that his favorite color is blue? So why would he cover his knife in red by stabbing a person? It doesn't make sense. You must acquit. Is that the level of evidence you brought to court?
Why do you care about unions in this country? Okay.
Okay. All right. Not done.
Last thing. So you disavow Hassan's vote. You disavow the Vanguard's vote. You think that they're both pro-genocide because they voted for genocide, right?
No, I don't. I didn't say that. I said the opposite of that.
But if you vote for genocide, aren't you you said I'm pro-genocide because I voted for genocide.
No, I said that you are pro-genocide because you've done everything you can to run interference for the people who are pro-genocide. That's why it seems like
interference. But in what sense?
Yeah. In the sense that I've just been criticized, rewind the VOD and look at I want you to watch every minute of the VOD again, and maybe you'll figure it out. Hit me up on my DMs and tell me when you figure it out. I can't do it again for you. But watch the whole thing, and maybe, just maybe, a neuron will fire, right? And it'll come to you. Just maybe.
Why don't you just vote for Trump? If you really want to teach these Democrats a lesson.
Sure. Anyway. Are you going to ask me a serious question?
Why don't you vote for Trump if you want to teach him a lesson?
Are you going to ask me a serious question?
Yes, it's a serious question.
Sorry, Pisco. The reason why I want to believe it's not a serious question is because I don't want to have to lower my view of you. Right? I have a very high opinion of you. I don't want to have to lower that. So It can't be a serious question.
Marry, fuck, kill Kamala Harris. Marry, fuck, kill Kamala Harris. Gavin Newsom, Kristi Noem.
Was that a super chat?
No.
Oh, okay. I was hoping it was a super chat. People send a super chat to my my man. All right. So what are my choices again?
Marry, fuck, kill Kamala Harris, Gavin Newsom, and Kristi Noem.
Oh, whoa. Oh God, they're all pretty bad. Oh, I gotta kill Kristi Noem. I mean, hypothetically, if our intelligence agencies are looking at that, she would be in the K category. And then in terms of Mary, fuck, ugh. I guess I'd fuck. I'd fuck Gavin Newsom. He's a whiny Weasley bitch.
It's so interesting you said you'd fuck Gavin Newsom because you fucked over Kamala Harris in the actual real world. So you're clearly willing to fuck Kamala Harris over.
Okay. Any other questions? Anything else, Frank?
Hey, this was a lot of fun. We should do it again sometime. I had a great time.
I had a great time with you too. We could talk about something else next time. I don't have to talk about this. About you being a shit lib. Or actually, no. It'll probably come up again that you are a shit lib, but within a different context, and that'll be fun to do. But I appreciate you. I appreciate you. You're a good friend of mine. At least I feel like you're a friend. Guys, if you haven't done so, follow my man Pisco. Follow him on this channel. Subscribe to him on YouTube or whatever. Or,
and shout your channel up. Wait. So PrimeCayes on Twitch?
Yes. PrimeCayes. We have discussions. We have debates. They get really heated. Even more heated than this, right? For people who I don't have as and I go in on them too as well. So come around. I think you'll have a good time on Twitch and YouTube. And yes, find me there.
And Prime, you're an original. You have blood on your hands, bro. But I still love you. And
I still love you too.
And
despite the DNC show.
Yeah,
okay.
We'll talk soon. This is why we need Chorus, but much appreciated. And Prime, seriously, you guys should give him a follow and follow him on YouTube and on Twitch, and we'll be in contact and talk shortly. Okay. Good shit.